This is the Patriots Catch-22 podcast with Evan Lazar and Alex Barth.
I'm Evan Lazar. Evan Lazar.
Hello, everybody.
Nailed it. Joined as always by Alex Barth. That's a fit. That's a match. No risk it, no biscuit.
22.
Here is Evan Lazar and Alex Barth.
Alex, I haven't come up with a great way to describe how I feel about this Patriots draft. I didn't hate it. Like, I'm not, like, down on it, but I'm also not over the moon about what they did either. I'm kind of somewhere in the middle with it, and I think some of that has to do with the fact some of their picks were made for 2027 and beyond. I just think that this was kind of okay. I feel like that's a good way to describe it. Okay. All right, here we go. We're into the real bowels of the offseason now, Barth. Like, we're starting to get really into
because we still got OTAs and minicamps and talk to me in June.
We're getting there, though.
We're getting there.
We're getting there to the real downtime. But with this team, with all the A.J. Brown stuff, like that's going to carry us in June. Whether he's traded or not, the speculation of is he going to get traded every day is going to be a big talking point. So we'll have that
3-4 weeks.
We do have rookie minicamp this weekend.
Yeah.
That'll be Saturday afternoon. Caleb Lomu will be on the field with the jersey tomorrow afternoon.
Hopefully. I think they said if it rains, it's going to be inside. It's
okay. Well, somewhere in the facility, he will be holding up a jersey.
Is that today or tomorrow?
It's tomorrow.
Oh, no, it's supposed to rain today.
Well, at some point.
So
tomorrow.
No, but like I thought it was supposed to rain tomorrow afternoon because I was trying to play golf. But it's supposed to rain this afternoon, so he should be on the field tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah, I think he'll be all set. So we'll get that. We'll get rookie minicamp. I'm really looking forward to that. Although it's not, what's the word? Truly real football. It is the closest that we get this time of year to some real football. So they will line up and throw a pass on Saturday in front of us at rookie minicamp. So that'll be fun. And, the beat goes on. Now, there's a couple of things I want to talk about here off the top of the show to kind of set the table. I also want to do a UDFA deep dive because we touched on it briefly at the end of the show last week, Alex, but we didn't do a full UDFA dissection that we're going to do today. Talk about some of these guys. I have some favorites already out of this group just off their college tape, so we'll get into that. But the topic that I wanted to set the table with and present to the masses and present to you, now that the dust is settled, the draft is over, free agency is obviously over. That doesn't mean that the roster building is over, though. There are still guys available this time of year, post, draft acquisitions potentially. We talked about A.J. Brown. There's also that window of acquisition period in August at the end of the summer, usually right around cutdown day, where teams are trimming their roster. Sometimes guys get traded that time of year. Last year, Micah Parsons got traded at that time frame. So it's not out of the realm of possibility that a major move could be done in the summer as well. So what are the biggest remaining needs for the Patriots on this roster now that they've gone through the free agency of the draft? I have 3 positions that I look at in terms of biggest needs, and I'll put this caveat in there. I did not put wide receiver.
I was going to say, okay, so we're putting that thing to the side.
We're going to put that thing to the side because I feel like A.J. Brown's probably going to be a Patriot at some point in the next couple of months. And so I'm not going to... That's a need. If or when that happens, that need will be fulfilled.
Sure.
Right? So, we all agree with that one. But I'm more talking about some of the other things so we don't have to rehash A.J. Brown again, which we're both feel the same about, I feel like, or on board with, whatever you want to call it. So we can get into the details of how to attack all these and everything. But my 3 positions that I'm looking at right now, number 1 to me, I think it's really not too much of an argument in my case, is in my opinion, is off-ball linebacker.
Yes, agree.
Inside linebacker. Right now you have Robert Spillane, Christian Ellis, KJ Britt, Chad Muma, Obi Izor, and Khalil Jacobs, who we'll talk about in a little bit, one of their UDFA signings. I don't feel great about their depth here. Robert Spillane and Christian Ellis are solid to good players. Feel great about Spillane, especially if he's healthy and available. Ellis is fine. Behind those 2 guys, I don't feel like they have great proven depth. Maybe KJ Britt is Christian Ellis, Jack Gibbons clone, and ends up being a better defensive player than he's shown based off of the special team stuff that he already does. Maybe that's the case. Off-ball linebacker is a big one to me. We can talk about maybe some options and ways to go there. The second one is safety. These, and I think there's a theme here. This is kind of the positions they didn't address in the draft.
Right.
Safety, love Byard and Craig Woodson. That's a great tandem. I like Del Pettis. I don't know what is Del Pettis' ceiling as a player. Is he a guy that can really push for true 3 safety packages to be a bigger part of their defense and be a bigger part of their identity on that side of the football? I don't know. Mike Brown and John Saunders kind of round out that depth chart flyers there at the end of the roster. So there's a lot, a substantial amount on Pettis right now, not only as an injury replacement, but also as maybe pushing for third safety snaps. Let's face it, like Byard's been incredibly durable throughout his career, but he's 33 years old. So if there's any sort of wear and tear right there, then you're looking at a situation at safety where Del Pettis is playing like meaningful snaps if either Woodson or Byard gets hurt. The last one that I had was interior offensive line, another spot that they didn't really hit in the draft. Now, Elliot Wolf hinted that maybe Caleb Lomu in a pinch could play guard if he had to, but ideally that's not the path. But, you have the 3 starters, Vera Tucker, Onwenu, Jared Wilson, and you like Ben Brown as the super sub. But the problem is if Ben Brown gets hurt, or if Ben Brown has to play because one of those starters gets hurt, then who's Ben Brown's backup? Who's the backup to the backup at this spot?
Right.
He's
backing up so many spots.
Right. He's backing up all 3 spots. And with a guy like Vera Tucker, who has an injury history, Ben Brown is almost like your 3.5 starter here. And so who's really his backup, I think, is a roster battle. Now, I'm not necessarily, I looked at some of the free agents, guys like Joel Bitonio is still out there. I don't know if you're going that route just because like a 34-year-old Joel Bitonio isn't signing to be a backup to the backup, right? He's signing to start somewhere. So I'm not sure you necessarily need to do that. So maybe this comes from within, and there's a couple of UDFAs that we're going to get to
that
here.
Could also be one that's like you talked about in August, like a post-roster cuts waiver claim thing. Like they've done a tackle the last few years.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, maybe somebody, there's a cast off from another team that gets interested, is an interesting one. I flirted with nose tackle.
So that was the one I was going to say over safety. I would like to see them have more at safety too. I'm with you. But between Del Pettis, Mike Brown has played some defense too. Like I feel like he's been forgotten about, and I've been guilty of that at times.
Is he Jalen Hawkins, right? Like a guy that has played.
Jalen Hawkins was starting,
but Jalen Hawkins played a little bit before he got here. Was kind of brought in as like a fringe roster guy,
fair.
And then made the
maybe,
push.
Yeah. So I mean, between those guys, there's a little something in terms of just true nose tackle. The guy that's going to eat blocks, 2-gap. I know they don't do a lot of 2-gapping, but you know what I'm saying. Like eat blocks, occupy blockers, stop the run. Who is it?
It's fair.
Who is that guy? Like maybe Durden, but Durden they kind of use more as a pass rusher. We'll see with Eric Gregory. He didn't really play a lot last year. And then the other guy is David Blay, who's the UDFA, who we'll get to.
Yeah.
Who I don't hate, but is undersized. Like, who's their nose tackle?
Is it possible, and I agree with your assessment, it still feels like as a front, as a defensive front, they still want to have a one technique.
Yeah.
Not a pure 0 up on the center nose, but a guy that's shaded into the A-gap. Now, that player in this defense might be a little bit more of a penetrator than what they
I guess.
a space eater.
I like the idea of having a guy that you can bring off the bench when it's 4th and 1 or when you're on the goal line. And, Tonga obviously was more than that last year, but part of his role was that.
Yeah.
And I like the idea of having that guy. Like even even if you're a team that throws the ball to the running back slot, still having that big bruising running back that you can put in the short yardage and things like that. I like having that option. Now that could also be a guy that you get during roster cuts, but I would put that above safety. personally.
So the reason why I say that about the nose tackle maybe being a little bit of a different body type or skill set than like a true space eating nose tackle is because even though we're putting a lot on a UDFA, Blay did play on the nose at in college.
Yeah.
Like now he's 300 pounds, like 295 pounds.
I think he's listed 292 at his pro day. So.
Yeah, but he's a penetrating one technique. Like he's a get up the field kind of guy.
He can play the run though. Like
I just don't know if that is big enough at this level. I don't know if he's literally big enough.
So that's what I was going to say. I mean, I know we were going to get to the UDFAs, but just where what I was going to say with him is like, it's not, what if he puts on like 20 pounds between now and camp?
It's a lot of weight to put on, but yeah.
15?
Sure.
Like, that's not impossible.
No.
It's not easy, but it's not impossible. And like, I think then that you'd be looking at that one more realistically.
Yeah. I just look at him as, that's where he played in college. And
right.
The question is that style going to translate obviously to the pros at that size is a fair question, but he had a lot of good reps of not only being able to, get up the field, but I also thought that he absorbed contact pretty well and was able to kind of hold his position on combination blocks and things like that. A lot different to do that at 295 at the college level than 295 at the pros. That's a different animal. The one spot, though, I looking through some of the available free agents that are available right now.
Yeah.
I kind of think that there's some interesting off-ball linebackers that I wouldn't mind a sort of, Belichick used to do this all the time. You bring in like guys at the end of their careers that, maybe you can get one more year out of. And usually it happened like around this time of year. The big name, obviously, that's still out there is Bobby Wagner. Now,
yeah,
I don't know if Bobby Wagner still wants to play football. Like, I don't know where he's at in terms of his retirement and all that kind of stuff. He's still a free agent. Matt Milano is still a free agent. Now, he has injuries that really, really added up in Buffalo that kind of led to his, career there fizzling out. But interesting name. I always liked Bobby Okereke.
Okereke.
I always liked him. I liked him since the draft, since his draft year.
Yeah.
He's available. But Wagner and Milano, even if it's just name brand recognition at this point, are name brand linebackers that do they have anything left in the tank? I just wonder if maybe a move like that would be worth it to them, or do they feel like let's give Britt, Muma, Obi, Izor, Jacobs, that group a chance?
Yeah, I even like some of their minicamp invites. Jordan Kwiatkowski, I forget if we talked about him last week, from Central Michigan. You probably haven't watched him. I don't know if you have.
No.
He flies.
That's a you thing.
He flies around the football field. He's constantly near the football. Now, it's going to be an adjustment doing that in the NFL versus doing it in the MAC, but like he's kind of the MAC version of what like Jacob Rodriguez was.
Yeah.
Where it's just like he's always at the football. He can create turnovers, 3 forced fumbles, 3 interceptions last year, 117 tackles, 14 tackles for loss. He just plays like a missile. And again, it's just that step up in competition. How's he going to handle that? I think he's a little undersized, if I remember correctly. He's 6'1", 235. So I'll be interested to watch him on Saturday.
So nose tackle, just looking around here at the free agent names. DJ Reader, he didn't sign yet, right? But he was like meeting with some team.
I think I saw that, yeah.
I think I saw his name pop up in the news that he was taking a visit or something like that. Obviously, that's a solid. Oh, I guess he signed with the Giants now, I think.
Oh, okay. No.
Yeah, I knew he was getting interest and buzz. I want to say Daquan Jones, who's the Bills last year. He might have been with Vrabel in Tennessee at some point. He was definitely on the Titans. I don't know if they overlapped. I want to say they did.
They did.
Yeah.
Vrabel's first year was 18, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so 3 years.
Yeah. So maybe somebody like that, who's played some traditional nose tackle. There's some names out there. Safety was pretty thin, looking at the free agents. And interior offensive line, the guys at the top of the list are all guys that are like Bitonio, who have,
right.
years of starting experience, and it doesn't really seem like
that one. Again, I think that's a roster cuts move.
Yeah. Okay, so that's topic number one, resetting the the needs there on the roster. Topic number 2 that we wanted to get to was the UDFAs. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 guys out of the 12 I think they're up to at this point. If you include Khalil Jacobs, who was kind of like a reported signing here recently. I have 7 guys that I feel like have a chance to make the roster. And then we can kind of, dive into them individually.
I have 8 plus 2 rookie minicamp tryout guys.
That doesn't surprise me. Miles Montgomery, I think, has a chance at running back. Cameron Dorner, I think, has a chance at receiver. Tanner Arkin, I think, would have a chance in most years at tight end. I just don't know.
This year.
I don't know how you get on the roster at this particular year at tight end. He's going to have an uphill battle, but I like the talent. Like, I like the tape. I thought his blocking tape in particular is really, really good.
Yeah.
Jondarius Morgan, a guard from UAB.
I think he might have the best shot.
Interesting player. Rizzy, just because of his versatility.
Yeah.
I didn't like him quite as much on tape as I liked Morgan, but I thought
position player.
Yeah, I thought his versatility is there, and he's got some size and some just raw power and stuff like that. He actually tested really well at his pro day. He doesn't necessarily look like that on tape to me. He looked a little clunky, like a little stiff in his movements, but he had like a ridiculous RAS. So I don't know. I think those are pro day numbers. David Blay, we just talked about, and Khalil Jacobs. Those were the 7 guys that, in my deep dive, I was like, okay, these guys have a chance to make the roster. Who were the other ones you had?
So I didn't have Arkin.
Just because
he's
position.
Blocked. Like, some of it with UDFAs is you have to have a path to the roster. It's not just being the best player. You got to have a way. Like, how many times did they have good UDFA corners in the Belichick years that wouldn't make the team because they were just loaded at corner? Crayvon LeBlanc.
Yeah.
I was such a Crayvon LeBlanc
Kenny
truther,
Moore.
but they didn't have the room. Kenny Moore would be another one. So, like, Arkin maybe fits. Robbie Gould is probably the ultimate example of this.
Oh, the kicker?
Yeah, he was a Patriots UDFA.
Yeah.
They had Adam Vinatieri. They obviously didn't need him. He went on at a very successful career. So I would put Arkin in that category. The other ones I had, Nick DeGennaro from James Madison was another receiver.
Yeah.
Kind of like you said with Rizzy, the versatility, a guy that I think can line up all over the formation, a guy that has sure hands, which is you can't really say about the other UDFA receivers. And a guy who had a big game against Oregon. So there's a little bit of pop there. And then Kyle Dixon from Culver Stockton. He's another one that might be blocked, especially if they get A.J. Brown. I mean, he's an X. He's a pure outside guy. And when you look at A.J. Brown, I mean, we'll see if they keep Kayshon Boutte, but Kayshon Boutte, Mac Hollins can play outside. Kyle Williams can play outside. Like, is there a spot for him? I also don't know how much special teams ability he's going to have. But they gave him a pretty significant signing bonus, $252,000. I will say, because I feel like some people saw that and put him on the team, the biggest signing bonus last year, which was bigger than Dixon's, was C.J. Dupree, who did not make the team. He was on the practice squad, and he hung around. He eventually ended up on the roster, and maybe that's ultimately what happens with Kyle Dixon. So I don't think he's a lock, but if they're going to give him that kind of money, they're clearly seriously considering him. So he belongs on the list. I think that's... So yeah, I also had Dorner, Montgomery, Morgan, Rizzy, Blay, Jacobs. I don't know if you want to do the minicamp guys now or later.
We can do those later. So I think Dixon deserves a seat at the table here. I think he deserves to be in the conversation. Just in full disclosure, there's no tape of this guy at Culver Stockton. Like, I tried. I asked... all my resources.
I couldn't even get a picture of him.
I tried to dig up anything I could have.
Well, sure, he's real.
So I'm not going to sit here and like say that I know all about Kyle Dixon and his game, because that's not fair to him, or that's not being truthful to the matter. I'm very interested to see what he looks like, because the athleticism, the raw athleticism is impressive.
Yeah.
He's got size. He's a height, weight, speed guy. He's got that. His 3-minute highlight reel that's been going around Twitter from his Huddle account, his personal Huddle account, which is like what kids in high school do that are trying to get noticed on the recruiting trail. It's an impressive highlight reel. Who's he playing against? What's the whole film look like? I couldn't tell you that. So I just had a tough time giving a complete analysis of him as a player, because I don't have enough information to make that judgment call. So This weekend, we'll see him at rookie minicamp. We'll obviously see him in OTAs and over the summer. Let's see. Like, maybe there's something there that he could potentially make a roster push. Let's start with Dorner, though, since we're on the receivers. Dorner is, to me, your classic crafty, shifty, separates at the top of the route, but isn't fast kind of receiver.
So Josh McDaniels receiver.
Yeah, like I don't know if he's necessarily. I'm not gonna go like full Jacoby Myers. Like I don't know if that's necessarily a great comp.
No, I don't.
But like he's got, fringe NFL speed, 4.57 in the 40-yard dash. But he's got some wiggle. He's got some craft at the top of the route. He's got some nuance to his releases and his ability to attack leverage and his stem work and all that good stuff.
And create after the catch a little bit.
A little bit after the catch. He had a pretty good game against Tulane.
Yeah.
Which is college football playoff
Good
participant.
team,
So there's something there with Dorner. He's your classic. Yeah, he's a classic McDaniels guy. I hate to kind of put
No,
that.
but he can play a little bit. I remember. So that offense. I'm curious what you thought of that offense and what you thought of Mestamaker too.
So the quarterback's nice.
He's one of the big transfers. He's gonna be at Oklahoma State this year.
So he's a big dude, big arm, a little bit of a statue, but he throws a good ball.
He's gonna be in the. He might play 2 more years, but he's going to be in the round 1 conversation probably.
Yeah.
So that was the highest scoring offense in college football.
That's crazy.
It was the second ranked passing.
The mean green.
It was the second ranked passing offense in college football. This was all you want.
Yeah.
They were just spreading it out and route concepts. This was his tight khaki pants offense.
It was fun.
I thought you might like that.
Was impressive.
So I watched like a decent amount of them because when they were on, it was like, all right, like they're doing fun stuff. I'll put this on. Dorner can play. Dorner can play a little bit. He was their number 2 receiver, the number 1 guy, I believe. I forget where he transferred. He also transferred. He wasn't draft eligible. The way they used Dorner, and now they get there a little bit differently, but the way they used Dorner kind of reminded me of how the Patriots used Kayshon Boutte this past year, which was a lot of intermediate and deep, middle of the field, create separation, get after the catch, and then you mix in the go ball from the outside.
Yeah.
And he thrived in that role. And like you said, he's crafty. I think he's reads zones well. He sits down. He created a lot of easy throws for the quarterback. And then I think his ability to turn up the field and get yards after the catch is not, it's not like, it's not amazing at it, but like he always gets his after the catch. To me, it's not like, oh my God, he's breaking all these tackles and turning a 10-yard catch into 50 yards, but it's, oh, I thought he'd get 5 yards after the catch. He got 10.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought he'd get 2 yards after the catch. He got 5, like that kind of thing. So I like him. I think he can play. Again, I don't know what his role is here, but I think he can play. I liked him during the season and thought there was an outside shot he'd get drafted, but the 40 at the pro day probably didn't help. But he can. Him and Baron Morton are going to be really fun to watch this summer. And I don't know how much further I'm willing to go than that, but I think those two are going to be fun this summer in the preseason in like the fourth quarter.
Baron Morton, not to get into a Baron Morton thing, but Baron Morton is going to have to throw passes to all 4 of these UDFA receivers and Eli Raritan during rookie minicamp and like this early time of the offseason. So there's a lot riding on Baron Morton, at least like throwing a semi-accurate ball so we can get an assessment of some of these guys.
Well,
so
I think the whole idea
really
with Kyle Dixon is whether or not it's accurate, he can catch it.
I don't know if I necessarily need Baron Morton to be good, but I need him to be good enough to make the other guys viable, right? I need to be able to see the other guys.
Who was it they had here as the 4th quarterback who was like getting guys hurt because he was missing throws?
Oh, the kid.
Was it Trace McSorley?
Yeah, I was going to say Trace McSorley. I thought it was Trace McSorley.
Yeah.
Woolridge wasn't much better, if we're being honest.
He wasn't getting guys hurt.
But he wasn't much better.
Like, you have to give guys a chance. That's true.
Okay, so that's the receivers. Dorner, to me, his best routes were slants, digs, things in breaking into the middle of the field.
That 12-yard dig route, I think, is his money route.
Got some snappiness to it. Yeah, absolutely. Miles Montgomery, running back from Central Florida. Honestly, watching him, it kind of reminded me a little bit of Jam Miller.
Very similar.
I was like, oh, this is kind of the similar thing. I thought Miles Montgomery had a little bit more instant burst to the edge. Like when he bounce runs to the outside, he had a little bit more giddy up there, but maybe not the long speed that Jam Miller does, because Jam Miller can, build up speed to that 4.4. I'm not sure that Montgomery quite has that, but he ran a 4.44 second 40-yard dash.
Yeah.
So he's got some speed. Has a pretty good athletic profile. I thought that there was some pass catching ability to his game too, at least reliable underneath target and hands. So a lot of the things that we described with Jam Miller, I kind of feel the same way about Miles Montgomery. There was some people I saw on Twitter saying Miles Montgomery is actually the better back out of the two backs. So I think both these guys, I'm at least giving them, let's call it equal footing to make the roster. I mean, one's a 7th round pick and one's a UDFA. So
Right.
I would say that they're probably both starting from a similar place to make a roster push here.
I think they're both right in that mix again with like Lane Larison, Terrell Jennings.
Yep.
I think the difference is for me, I had Miller ahead. In the special teams, Miller, significant special teams experience, which whoever is winning the 3rd running back spot or 4th running back spot,
especially returning kicks.
Yeah. I would also say, and I think this is why Miles Montgomery didn't go undrafted and Jam Miller probably did get drafted. Last year, you could argue Miles Montgomery was the better player. It might have been close. That's kind of it for Miles Montgomery. He really didn't do a lot before 2025. Jam Miller had like 2 to 3 years of legit production. So I think that's what, Jam Miller, and it's the 7th round. So maybe you should be going for upside, you could argue, but I think you just know what you're getting a little more in Jam Miller versus Miles Montgomery against a weaker schedule. Was that just kind of like a one-off, or is that the player he actually is versus Jam Miller multiple years in the SEC? I think you just know more higher floor, lower ceiling, I think, than Montgomery.
Yeah, but both guys that have kind of squatty frames, right? Like 5'10", 210, 205, and have some speed and have some giddy up to them. So interesting kind of competition, I think, between them, Larison, Terrell Jennings. Like that's going to kind of be the summer at that running back spot.
Leon Larison.
Yeah, I said Larison.
My bad.
I wonder if Larison's going to be out there on Saturday. Sometimes they allow guys that were hurt their rookie years, basically redshirted their rookie years to practice.
Or just guys who are trying to make a roster push. Like you see Xavier Restrepo was out there for the Titans.
Oh, damn, really?
Yeah.
Poor Restrepo. Well, I think like John Giles, right? He was out there last year for the Patriots. Like those receivers that were on the practice squad. Who was the other one? Caught a touchdown pass from Joe Milton in the preseason. Wow,
I'm blanking, but I know who you're talking.
We're not doing good today with names. Okay, next one here. Let's stick with offense because I don't want to jump all over the place. Let's talk about Tanner Arkin. So Tanner Arkin, 6'4", 262 pounds. When you watch his tape at Illinois, he's an extra offensive lineman. Like that, he's not a pass catcher, in my opinion. I don't like. I think he could catch passes and little outlets and stuff underneath the defense if he's wide open. But I don't think he's really a pass catcher. I mean, to use like a comp of Patriots from the past, like he's just kind of the who man, right? Like he's 6'4", 262, really good blocker. I
would even say more Dwayne Allen.
Okay, do you think he has as much juice in the passing game as Dwayne Allen?
Like, I thought Hooman had more juice in the passing game than Dwayne Allen.
I guess maybe Patriots Dwayne Allen. Like Dwayne Allen.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that was weird because the Colts threw him the ball a lot, and they never threw him the ball here. But I remember like every once in a while, Hooman would go up and get it. You forget? Remember he mossed that guy on the Bills?
Vaguely. Yeah. Okay. I'll take your word for it. Some of the blocks though from Arkin were really impressive. Like if you closed your eyes, you would think it was like another tackle, out there. Reaching on the line of scrimmage, or like he had that ability to kind of like reach a block and then get underneath the guy and kind of forklift him out of the gap and move him out of the gap. Some really impressive like upper body power, flexibility to kind of get underneath and leverage and get underneath guys to create movement. I think he's got that ability to block in space as well. Uses athleticism. One of the better run blocking tight ends in this class, just in general, even among the guys that got drafted. He just doesn't have much receiving upside to his game. Illinois, I want to say, like they've had kind of a history of these types of guys. Tip Raymond, I feel like he went to Illinois, right? He's like sort of the ceiling of this.
Because he could play, he catch the ball.
He had a much better athletic profile than some of these guys. But Illinois seems to like having like a blocking specialist inline tight end that's basically an extra offensive lineman, and they kind of train that guy, and they're pretty good at developing that player. So that's Arkin.
Matt Lacoste also went to Illinois.
Okay.
That's another one.
Yeah, Tim Raymond's definitely the one I remember the most that I feel like is the most similar to Arkin.
I have right here Jeff Cumberland.
Another guy that was kind of like that.
The Who Man went to Illinois.
He did not.
He did.
I swear to God.
I thought I saw that, and I'm like, no, I'm imagining that. No, he went to Illinois. I totally forgot about that.
See, so they have a history of this.
Yeah.
This is kind of their type, right? Like these 260, 265-pound jumbo tight ends.
Well, that's
like,
Big Ten football, baby.
That's what they want to play.
Yeah.
He's a good blocker. He's a really good blocker. Now, Hunter Henry is on the team.
Yeah.
Julian Hill is on the team,
Yeah.
and Eli Raridon's on the team. And I would also just add the fullback is part of this.
Right.
Like the fullback in terms of roster numbers and stuff and number crunching is a part of the equation at tight end. So are you carrying 4 tight ends plus a fullback? So basically you're taking up 5 places in that room. That just feels like too many. Like it feels like one too many.
To me, like Arkin would make a lot more sense if Julian Hill wasn't here. Julian Hill is here.
Sure.
So maybe like they try to stash Arkin on the practice squad for a year and then he takes that role over next year. I know Julian Hill signed a 3-year contract, but I think it's really only 1-year deal, right?
Yeah. How about Dupree? Like because Dupree is kind of similar, I would say, to Arkin.
Oh no, Hill's two years of guaranteed money. There's just more guaranteed money in 27 than 26.
Like I had all the same thoughts about Dupree this time last year. Like this is a blocking tight end that's got size and but I think Arkin might be a little bit of a better blocker.
I think Arkin's better blocker. I think Dupree's a better receiver, but Arkin's better blocker.
Yeah. So another one that I liked. I just don't know if there's an opportunity there with the numbers on the roster. Let's go to the guards, and then we'll finish up with the 2 defensive guys I had on my list. John Darius Morgan from UAB. I thought he was pretty twitched up for an undrafted guy. Like he moves pretty well.
Yeah.
Smooth mover, good athlete, good pass protection ability to redirect and like pass block one-on-one. Can get out in space on his blocks, get out in the screen game, all that kind of stuff. I thought that some of the issues that I saw with him were just with his punch. He's got like a predictable 2-hand punch. It gets swiped away and stuff like that by active hands that he'll have to work on, and he's got to get stronger. But like all these offensive linemen, I feel like we keep saying the same thing about that. So he's a guy that when he gets on a base block or a double team, I don't know if he's moving people. His anchor, I think, is going to be tested at this level, but he can move, man. Like he's a twitchy athlete and he's a good pass blocker.
So his background, I don't know how much you looked at his like background. So he was a left tackle.
Yeah, I believe it.
He wasn't great there. And then during the 24 season, he moved to right guard and was kind of figuring it out. And then he played guard for the first time, full time in 2025 and was a lot better. So he's still learning that position, which goes to some of the stuff that you said and building his body for that position. But
certainly the punch, like all that type of stuff.
But definitely more of a natural fit there than he was at tackle. So an ascending player, a player that's trending in the right direction. And they need, he's going to be right there in the mix with like Caden Wallace, Mekhi Butler, Andrew Rupsich, who, by the way, also went to Culver Stockton.
Yeah.
Patriots have 2 guys from Culver Stockton.
There must be like a coach or something there that you don't have just 2 guys that went to Culver Stockton randomly.
Rupsich, I think, was in Tennessee with Vrabel, right?
Okay.
So
there has to be some sort of connection there.
I would think so. Rupsich, was in Tennessee with Vrabel.
It's just such a random small school to be
It really
from.
is.
Yeah.
But no, I think I always talk about this, like, if you don't have a guy that's just been good his whole career, and we're talking about UDFAs here, you want somebody that's trending in the right direction.
Yeah.
And so, John Darius Morgan played 422 snaps at left tackle in 24, then moved to guard, then played the entire season at right guard last year. He's got good size for it. Again, he needs to keep bulking up. He's got good size for it. The fact that he played as well as he did, making that adjustment so quickly, makes me think there's more there to bring out of him. He's going to be right there in the mix with all those other guys. And he has a real chance to make the team.
Yeah, I agree. I the only thing that I was a little bit wary of, I should add just on a positive note first, too. I thought his Tennessee tape was really solid.
Yeah.
They played Tennessee last year. UAB did, and I thought he really held up well. Like, there were times where, there's a lot going on wrong, obviously, for UAB against a much better team. But you look at it and you see Morgan's kind of winning his matchup, but everybody else is kind of...
One pressure, one penalty. That's it.
Yeah, it was pretty solid. He has some soft edges, though. Like his outside or inside. Like once guys got on his edge, he had trouble with like redirecting with power, like coming in through and really like transitioning and anchoring with power to protect his edge.
How much of that is just he's new to the position?
It could be, and like I said, I think that his hands can be more nuanced to like refit and get underneath guys and kind of like relatch into guys' chests, because like he'll two-hand punch a lot, and these like good rushers are just swiping it or whatever, knocking the hands out of the way, and then they're going to get on the edge, and he doesn't necessarily have like the raw power or the mass to just kind of like wash it down. So those guys are just getting on his edges, and then they're just powering through the edge. But I didn't see a lot of guys beat him with speed. Like I didn't see a lot of guys come across his face or like spin or anything like that. I thought he was pretty good with all that kind of stuff. I thought he was pretty good with line movement, and he's actually like really good at like looking for work and like finishing. Like he had a couple of reps when they were running some of those interior twists against him, where like the pick player would come to pick him off, and he would just like toss the pick player to the ground and like just blow up the whole thing.
Yeah.
You know, like he's got some of that like nasty streak to him as well. I really liked him. I thought that he was a guy that I was surprised, watching his tape that he didn't get drafted, honestly.
Yeah.
I thought he was solid. And I watched a lot of those guards in that range of the draft, late day 3 guards. And I thought that he belonged in that group.
Again, I wonder if just with Miles Montgomery, you like what you see, but it is admittedly a limited sample size. More limited sample size.
Yeah, sure. The last one here on the offensive side, then we'll move over to the couple defensive guys. Rizzi from Florida State, Jacob Rizzi. Basically, their super sub. Like, he didn't really start a ton of games, but he played a decent amount of snaps, and he basically played all over the offensive line. I think he's an interior guy in the pros. Like, I wouldn't necessarily say he could play tackle with his movement skills. Like, I just thought he was a little clunky, like a little segmented in his movements. But then his relative athletic score, his RAS, was 9.88 out of 10 at the pro day, at an elite athletic profile. So maybe that's eye test versus, combine testing type stuff. You'd be the judge there. He also put up 31 reps on the bench. Like, he's a strong kid, a decent athlete, good versatility. I just didn't think that he moved as well on tape as he did it in his pro day in terms of the testing. But he's got that versatility, and that the more you can do at a position like that, the better.
Reminds me a little bit of Logan Taylor, kind of like the later version of Logan Taylor, where there's value in the versatility, athlete. We'll see. We'll see where he ends up. He might be somebody that just kind of sticks on the practice squad initially. I think if we're talking about, as you said earlier, Evan, that who is that guy after Ben Brown, I think you feel better about John Darius Morgan in that role right now. But Rizzi, to me, is the kind of guy you want to keep around, you want to keep developing, because that versatility, when you get him where you want him to be, that versatility will be incredibly valuable.
So I think either one of those guys got a chance.
Yeah.
And certainly has a chance to stick on the practice squad, like you said, and be a developmental player on the practice squad. Defensively, there was 2 guys that I looked at that I thought had a chance.
Yeah.
David Blay, Khalil Jacobs.
Yep.
These 2 guys are the only 2 guys out of their UDFA class that had write-ups in the Beast.
Okay.
Like full write-ups, not just height, weight, speed measurements. Full bios and everything. So typically that tells you that Dane thought they had a chance to get drafted.
Yep.
So that's why they were that way. So based off of Dane Brugler and the Beast, these were the 2 most talented UDFA signings that they had. With Blay, I think the big question is 292 pounds. That's what he's listed at, 6'2", 292.
Yeah.
That's really small to play nose tackle at this level. But I thought that he's pretty densely built. Like, he's a pretty compact build to him. It's difficult to move. He's got really good short area quickness, block anticipation. Like, he's constantly maneuvering around blocks. Now, he played on that Miami defensive line. Obviously, a lot of attention was going in other places. There were times where the seas would kind of part for him because, the line is like fanning out to the more, more dynamic players like Bain and Mesidor. So there's some of that going on with his game. But I thought he held up pretty well against some good competition as a 292-pound nose tackle. That's not very common.
Yeah. Again, it's just how much weight can he put on between now and the end of July? That's what it comes down to me. If he comes into camp and he's playing at like 310, 315.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, 315 would be
315 is a lot.
20 right.
310 I think is realistic. 310's because I'm sure he's had to put on weight this entire time.
Right.
So he's not like starting now. I'm
Right.
putting on weight. But
So
he's got the makings of that gap shooting, penetrating, one technique shade that might be what they're gravitating towards more. I think the days of you're going to eat blocks and occupy space, like that's not really how they play anymore on the defensive line. Is he a little bit undersized for it? Maybe, but maybe not in their system. As a guy that they're going to let get off the ball and get up the field. Maybe not as much. We'll see. I mean, that was really my big question with him. What did you think with Khalil Jacobs?
Yeah, I mean, they had him in for 30 visits, so they're clearly interested. A guy I think that has a really strong special teams makeup, and then he'd be in that mix competing with Britt and Muma and those guys for Obi Izor for that third linebacker role after Spillane and Ellis. Yeah, I kind of looked at him more as like a special teams guy.
Yeah, he kind of reminded me a little bit of Obi Izor. Like they're both kind of smaller, sawed off frames, like shorter arms, things like that, but they can move and they can run and they go sideline to sideline pretty well and have that special teams background. It's kind of similar to Jam Miller and Miles Montgomery. Not exactly the same, but kind of similar. So it'd be interesting. So those are the guys that I had. Who are your rookie minicamp invites? Because you went deeper than I did. So
one is Jordan Kwiatkowski, who I kind of already talked about.
Yeah.
Again, it just flew around the field at Central Michigan. 111 tackles, 14 for loss, 3 sacks, 3 picks, 3 forced fumbles. It's a jump in competition with that kind of production, but where'd Robert Spillane come from?
Yeah.
And went undrafted and that whole thing. So he is a little bit like Robert Spillane to me. I was a little surprised he didn't get drafted. And then the other one, the punter, Mitch McCarthy from Indiana. Good. Like, are they going to bring in competition for Bryce Behringer this summer for training camp? McCarthy did have kind of a down year last year at Indiana. Was a little off compared to his 3 years at UCF. And obviously Indiana, now you're in outdoor. I mean, UCF's outdoors, but you're in these kind of like wintry conditions like you'd be in here as opposed to kicking in South or Central Florida, I should say. But yeah, I mean, he's a punter. He's here. If that feels like a spot where they might want some competition, so he goes on the watch list.
I am pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
How much the punter conversation has gotten. We've talked about that because usually when it comes to punter, people
team's good again, so
do the punter
more
on your
focus
own
on
time.
the details.
But I've gotten email. We get emails about the punter. Can you believe that the Patriots haven't, acquired a punter?
I was getting tweets during the draft. People were furious.
Yeah.
Although for what it's worth, Behringer should beat out Mitch McCarthy, I think.
But it's just a little nudge.
No, I think competition's good, but that's
nudge.
one that I would think Behringer should win.
Yeah, he should win it. All right. So that's setting the table. UDFA's roster holes that remain on the team. Anything else you guys want to talk about? We can open it up now to the calls and the emails. Let's start with the calls now. Patty is in Agawam. What's up, Patty?
Hey, what's up, guys?
What are we doing?
Okay.
How's up? Hey.
All right. So I just wanted to. I kind of had I wanted to quibble with Alex just a little bit.
Good.
And it's got nothing to do with the UDFA signings. But last week, Alex, on Patriots Beat, you said that you didn't think that Wes Welker should go into the Patriots Hall of Fame unless Randy Moss accompanied him. And you were also talking about planet players. Now, granted, he doesn't have the measurables that you would, declare him a planet player. But for me, Wes Welker was kind of a one-of-one player. I know you could throw out guys like Troy Brown, Deion Branch, Julian Edelman, but those guys played a lot of Z, too. I mean, not a lot, but Wes primarily played in the slot. I have not looked at it, but I think if you looked at his game splits, I would say he's probably 90% of the snaps that he took in the New England Patriots were in the slot. And I think the only player that you could really compare him to that came after him was Danny Amendola, because I don't ever remember Amendola going outside. And he still is and I don't see it, I don't see anybody having the kind of high volume over the next few years that's going to break his receptions record. So, and I know he gets a bad rap for the Super Bowl drop, which is ridiculous. That guy, once Moss was shipped out and it was the two young tight ends, it was basically on him. He was he was the guy. He was the go-to guy. He was Brady's binky. And, yeah, I mean, to me, like, he gets an unfair snub just because of one stupid drop. But I wanted to kind of talk about, like, the UDFAs. Evan, your list.
Real quick, Patty, on that. Love you. Wes Welker's not a Planet player. So the Planet player thing, that's an old Bill Parcells term. It literally refers to the idea that there's only so many human beings of a certain size and athletic ability on the planet. And that when you get a chance to draft them, you draft them. I don't think Wes Welker's physical makeup was rare. He was unbelievably skilled, but like Wes Welker's not a Planet player.
100%. I'm just saying as far as like the position that he played, like he redefined the slot position. So he's not a Planet player, but he is a one-of-one type of player, and I mean, before him, it was Wayne Corbett, and he took what Wayne Corbett was doing with the Jets, and he kicked the door in with it as far as being a slot receiver. So the UDFAs, that was a great list. This is kind of where I'm at, and I'm going to circle this around to A.J. Brown. This is kind of the reason why I don't want to give up I'd be a little bit sick to my stomach if they gave up a first-round pick, whether it's 27 or 28 for A.J. Brown. And the fact is, like, you reeled off safety, linebacker, interior offensive line. Like, we don't have the depth just yet to be giving up, like, those premium asset picks. And I hate to be doom and gloom, but let's say you do give up a 28 first-round pick. What happens in 27 if our quarterback goes down? And that turns into a top 10, top 5 pick? I mean, you basically gave up a top 10 pick for A.J. Brown, and I cannot rationalize that in my brain. I wouldn't mind, like, a second, whatever. I know he's going to be here one way or the other, but I'll just be the one guy on record saying that I don't want to trade a first-round pick for him. That's all I got, guys.
Thanks, Patty. So I think a lot of people are in that boat at this point that they don't want to trade a first-round pick for A.J. Brown. I agree to an extent. I think my biggest concern, because I think if you don't want to trade a first round pick for AJ Brown, then you have to come to terms with the fact that you might not get AJ Brown, right? Like that's just the God's honest truth of it. And I think my one concern about playing hardball and drawing a hard line on the first round pick and actually maybe even taking yourself out of it, if that's what the price is, you don't want to invite regression for Drake May.
Right.
And so does not having, and maybe Romeo Doubs is good enough that they avoid this, but does not having AJ Brown or a player of that caliber in their passing arsenal, does that put too much stress on Drake May to elevate what's around him and make the whole thing better? And does he take a step back as a result of there's just not enough around him for him to do that? And that's a developmental thing. Like, I still feel that Drake May is in a developmental phase of his career. He's only going into his third season in the NFL. We're not at the point yet where he's bulletproof, where he's like a made man that we can just sit here and say, we could trade coordinators, we could trade receivers, we could trade whatever, and it won't matter. Like, I don't know if we're fully there yet with Drake May. So to not give up what's necessary to get AJ Brown, I do think that you're running a little bit of a risk of, is there now too much pressure on Drake May to make wine out of wine, whatever the saying is. I don't know. Maybe I'm looking too much into that, but I want to give Drake May, I don't want him to go backwards at any point.
No, I think that's a very fair point. And to what Patty said, and look, Patty, I'm with you in that. I really don't want them to give up a first-round pick here. I don't think they should have to. Yeah. I've said this before. Dare Howie Roseman to bring A.J. Brown into camp and see how that goes. And say, if you want your second-round pick, it's right here. We're ready to give it to you. But you bring that guy into camp with all the wide receivers you've brought in when he thought he was going to be out, which has kind of been reported that he maybe knows he's not going to be there.
Yeah.
And see how that goes. See if that's worth it. Or maybe, like, I would even do, okay, it's a conditional it's a second that becomes a first if the Patriots make the playoff, like that kind of thing. I don't want them to give up the outright first. That being said, to your point, it's ultimately an investment in Drake May. And if it's 2028 first, you're going to have a chance to kind of recoup some of that value.
That was the other thing I was going to say.
Yeah.
I'm okay with the 2028 first.
I would rather a 27 second than a 28 first.
Sure. But
I would much rather a 28 first than a 27 first.
28 first to me, now you're talking about that pick cashing in 2 seasons from now.
Yeah.
So it's not about what the Patriots would do in 2027.
Right.
It's about what the Patriots would do in 2028. And if by 2028 they haven't continued to build, that would be a whole other offseason on top of the one they just had.
Right.
Like, I feel like they're going to be in pretty good shape.
And to Patty's other point about, like, this team doesn't have the depth, I don't disagree with that, but
well, then you have the whole 2027 draft.
It's also, your first round pick is not a depth pick. I would hope not. Like, that's a pick you're using for, now you could argue, well, all right, so it's an even better player. Yeah, but you're still getting A.J. Brown. Like, I don't worry about them not being able to fill out the roster because they lose that pick. To me, it's like, what happens if Campbell or Lomu don't hit, or, okay, they move on from Carlton Davis. What are they doing at the other corner opposite Gonzalez? Or if they don't pay Gonzalez, or like that kind of thing, right? Like, that pick's more about
star power
than anything else. But that's also, like, you can address that in free agency, I guess.
I really feel like the 28-28 first might be where this ends up, because I think the Patriots are going to draw a hard line about their first in 2027.
As they should.
I think Howie's going to want to save face and say that he got a first-round pick for A.J. Brown.
Do the conditional. And again.
So would you rather do a 2027 conditional or a 2028
conditional?
So you want to do 28 with conditions.
I get what you're saying. 27 conditional or 28 first?
Yeah.
27 conditional, because I think they're going to go back to the playoffs. I think they're going to go back to the playoffs, and if you're giving up the 20-somethingth pick for A.J. Brown, I can live with that.
Yeah.
On the flip side, if they don't make it back to playoffs, this is a really good draft. I would love to be picking in the top 15 of this draft. And if you give up the second, but the second is, in the 40s, I can live with that.
So I'm interested to see what the terms would be there, because I haven't heard a lot of trading a conditional pick that's conditioned on the team's success.
That's fair. But
you hear
look
a lot
at it this
of
way.
This pick will become a fifth, will become a sixth, will become a fifth if he plays X amount of snaps, or this pick will become that if he catches, if he has a Pro Bowl season or 1,000 yards. But it's all individual performance. I don't know if there's restrictions on conditions about team success.
A couple things on that as I try to find the examples of this.
Maybe with quarterbacks. Maybe quarterbacks have moved like that.
If you tie it to A.J. Brown's stats, is there a world where A.J. Brown has like 1,200 yards and they don't make the playoffs?
Probably not.
Right.
Or at least are out of the top 10 of the draft.
Right.
I
feel like I've seen, and I think this was for a quarterback. I might be imagining this. Don't hold me to this. I'm trying to find it. Where the condition is playoff games played for the player.
They could do it that way too.
So it's an individual condition.
But what if he gets hurt? Does that count?
I don't know.
That's
but
what I'm
I
saying.
do think there's been some where it's like, if the team, now those I think were done at the trade deadline, not now. So that obviously changed, because if you're doing that at the trade deadline, right? If you're trading a player to a team that's like 7-5, whatever week the trade deadline is, they keep moving it. You're like, okay, I feel pretty good about that versus everybody's 0-0. But I can't remember exactly how it works. I do think there's been some where it's been team success though. But I think you're right. That's for quarterbacks.
For obvious reasons, we've been talking a lot of Celtics, you and I, lately.
Yeah.
The NBA is filled with pick protection.
So
trades.
I never want to see the NFL do protected picks. Protected picks are stupid. No.
And now the Toronto Maple Leafs just got the draft lottery totally rigged for them to get the number 1 pick, and the Bruins lost the chance at the Leafs' first round pick because of a pick protection. That doesn't happen in the NFL. That's not. I actually think there's a rule against pick protection trades.
Yeah,
but you could maybe circumvent that rule by saying, if we make the playoffs, or put a gaudy total on A.J. Brown's statistical output, that if he hits 1,000 yards, it becomes a first-round pick in 2027. Most likely, if he hits 1,000 yards, we can probably deduce that they're going to the playoffs, or they're at least above 500 football team, that they're out of the top 10 or top 12 of the draft. okay, I mean, maybe you could try to be sneaky about it that way. I'm not sure.
This is really hard to find because everything that comes up is compensatory picks.
Right.
If anybody has the part of the rule book that addresses conditional draft picks,
I feel like Miguel would be good.
Please send it along.
Pat's
That's
Cap
true.
would be good at this. All right, let's get these last couple phones, then we got to take a break. Sean is in Vancouver. What's up, Sean?
Yeah, Evan, I like your takes in terms of the needs, but in terms of the safety, linebacker, and guard, I see the Patriots having those as depth. So if they don't get injured, it'll be okay. And then there might be a rookie or some free agents who can play those spots so they can see. But in terms of the nose tackle, they don't have anyone who has the size on the roster to be that run-stopping nose tackle, that Tonga replacement. So I agree with you about Daquan Jones. But what do you think of Kalen Saunders, or does Mike Pennell have anything left? I'll leave you with that.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point about the nose tackle. I thought that they would draft the nose tackle.
Yeah.
Because there's just so many in this draft. They didn't go that direction. I find it interesting that we're so sort of preconditioned to think about nose tackle as this valuable player because of the guys that have come through here. Obviously, Vince Wilfork being the biggest one, but even guys like Alan Branch, like Kyrus Tonga last year has a really good year.
Well, I think
we've had success with nose tackles here. There's no doubt about it.
They struggled to stop the run at times last year. So you want them to stay committed. I didn't realize Kalen Saunders was unsigned. I absolutely take him.
It seems like they feel, and this is just based off of their movements on the edge, it feels like they felt like the run defense was lacking more on the edge of the defense than it was through the middle of the defense.
Yeah, but that was with Tonga. You've now lost Tonga, who's a big part of the run defense.
Fair enough. But did you see that video of Chason? Chason did like a...
Oh, yeah, where they wanted somebody better against the run.
Yeah,
yes.
and then they signed Draymond Jones, who I think is marginally better against the run than Chason, to be frank, but maybe a little bit better. And then they drafted Akis, who is obviously a very good run player.
Yeah.
So they definitely felt like they needed to be sturdier out on the edges. David is in Virginia. What's up, David?
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking my call. I'm a long-time listener, first-time caller.
Love it.
Thanks.
I've got a question and a content request. So I haven't heard a Catch-22 caliber rundown of what the other AFC East teams did in the draft. I've heard, I think you guys even talk a little bit about the Jets just because they had such a haul because they're, replacing all the good players on their team. But I'd love to hear your take on the rest of the AFC East. That's my question. And for my content request, I'd love to hear you guys do a little self-scouting on your performance on your draft projections. So, take a 2-year look or 3-year look back and look at your notes and just sort of see how you did, maybe score it somehow and make it into a competition. I think that would be great fun. Thanks.
Thanks for the call, David. Thanks for listening. I appreciate it. I definitely look back at my draft stuff every year and try to learn from mistakes. And I have a million of them. So you try to learn from that. Certainly the rest of the AFC East is a good one. Maybe that sounds like a great thing to do once we get through this spring practice period when it gets really dead. I think that's a great opportunity to do that. We have a couple of emails after the break. One topic I want to hit on, and I think that'll be interesting. So we'll be right back, and we'll talk to you soon.
Come welcome our newest restaurant additions at Patriot Place. Estella brings a celebration of flavors with a modern fusion menu, exciting cocktails, and brunch available daily beginning at 11 a.m. Enjoy freshly brewed coffee and Mediterranean-inspired breakfast and lunch from Angel's Cafe. Craving the classics? Chick-fil-A makes it easy to grab your favorite with mobile through, carry-out, and dine-in options. Download the Patriot Place Advantage app for special offers and to earn rewards every time you visit. Patriot Place. Shop, dine, enjoy.
The heaviest metal credit card of all time. Wielded at business dinners like a samurai sword. It's a classic corporate power move. But the real power move? Having end-to-end visibility on your most critical shipments. FedEx, the new power move.
Whether you're in the game or betting on the game, you'll need a game plan. DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of the New England Patriots, provides you with everything you need to build your personal betting game plan so you can get in on all the action while practicing safe bets. Visit DraftKings.com/responsible-gaming to learn more about all the safe betting tools DraftKings has to offer. Hope is here, 800-327-5050 or gamblinghelplinema.org. Must be 21 plus. Play it smart from the start. GameSenseMA.com. Physically present in Massachusetts. See DraftKings.com/responsible-gaming for details and state-specific responsible gambling resources.
Isn't it time to get exactly what you want? Welcome to Red Hot Deal Days from Verizon, where you get your pick of our best deals. Like My Plan, where you can pick the perks you want and save on every one. For limited time, bring your own phones to a Verizon store and you can get My Plan for our best price ever. Get exactly what you want in your phone plan and only pay for what you need. Bring your phones to your Verizon store today and get My Plan. These deals won't last. It's your Verizon.
If you're gonna play the game, boy, you gotta learn to play it right.
DraftKings is all about responsible gaming. It's more fun when it's for fun. So play responsibly. DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction.
Catch-22. Catch-22.
You love getting me fired up about the Celtics. Like, this is a Patriots show. I get that. It's the middle of the offseason, and this guy right here, just him and Fred, just needle away.
I mean,
they just
you
needle
have
away.
some wild Celtics takes.
How could a 37-year-old Joe Mazzulla be considered a seasoned coach?
Because he's coached in the playoffs 4 years in a row. He won a championship.
Okay, so that makes him now all of a sudden he has as much experience in the NBA as some of these veteran
No, but you're
coaches.
acting like he's doing this all for the first time. It's not like this is all new to him.
I didn't say that.
That's kind of what your point was.
I brought up Nick Nurse and Tom Thibodeau, who have both been coaching like career coaches. Like Tom Thibodeau was on the 08 Celtics coaching staff. That was 20 years ago.
The point was, is Joe... First of all, Nick Nurse has only been an NBA head coach since 2018.
Yeah, but how long has he been coaching in professional sports?
Professional sports since 2013.
Okay, so that's.
I don't know what some of these other
we're
teams.
going
These
on
might be
over
colleges.
a
These
decade.
might
Joe
be
Mazzulla went from Ime
England.
Udoka's like third assistant to the head coach 4 years ago.
You don't. 4 years, 4 playoff series.
He's like our age.
He won a championship. Like he's not inexperienced. He's not experienced. Well, then, I
didn't say he was inexperienced. I said he wasn't seasoned. There's a difference.
On that same note, so then he doesn't get any credit for 24 because he didn't know what he was doing, right? He was in it. He was unseasoned. That was just the players being great, and we won't credit him for that then.
Okay, you know how I feel about coaching in the NBA. I still feel as though, and I feel strongly about this, about that sport in particular. It's the least important coaching sport in pro sports.
A great coach does less to elevate, but a bad coach can get in the way more.
I think that it's a 5-on-5 game where the stars are the guys driving the league.
I just think saying Joe Mazzulla is unseasoned when he's been in the playoffs each of the last 4 years and has been to a championship, he's underselling it a little bit.
The guy that he lost to last year was the top assistant on the 2008 Boston Celtics. 2008. We were still in high school. It was 20 years ago. Like, this guy just started coaching the Celtics as a head coach of the Celtics 4 years ago. Like
Joe Mazzulla has coached in about 50 playoff games. That's not nothing.
I didn't say it was nothing.
Yeah, you kind of said it was nothing.
I did
You're
not.
You're erring towards the side of nothing.
I said that he wasn't a seasoned coach because he's not.
But you said that as a reason for their
but
issues in the
seasoned coaches
playoffs.
can suck too. Like seasoned coaches can suck too.
Right.
I mean,
but
how many playoff games Doc Rivers coached?
That's a seasoned coach.
How's that going?
Not great. He probably knows a thing or two about blowing 3-1 leads. He did it plenty. So, like, I get it. But I
just think we're past the point with Mazzulla of give him time and he'll figure it out. He's had
I didn't
a lot of time.
I didn't say that.
That's kind of what your argument was.
I did not
I forget
say that.
how much of this conversation we had off the air versus on the air. But that's kind of what you were saying.
I was saying that in order to like get what they need if they were to replace Mazzulla, like you're going the other direction. Like you're going like a lifer. Like you're gonna get a guy that has been a coach for a long time.
Oh, because I brought up Sam Cassell. All right, fair.
Yeah, like Sam Cassell has never been a coach in the NBA before.
But again, like
a head coach, obviously.
I also think there'd be something for a young coach with upside who's just going to be more of a motivator and not get in the way as much strategically. But, there's a lot of lifers that can't win in the playoffs, too.
Yeah, do you feel this way at all about NFL coaches? Like, do they have to have the seasoning?
How
seasoned does an NFL coach have to be?
How seasoned is Kyle Shanahan?
Very. Kyle Shanahan
McVay.
was born into it. His dad is Mike Shanahan.
How's that going?
Well, what do you mean? Like, that was a silly thing to say. He came out of the womb and was on the sideline with a headset on. Like, what do you mean?
How's that going in the playoffs?
Okay, but like that doesn't make a difference. Like I'm not saying
I lost
that
track of the original argument. I just wanted to bring up Kyle Shanahan.
Okay, of course you did. I think, Ace, to answer your question, I think it depends on the team. Like, it depends on the pulse of the team. Like, when you have a team like the Celtics, who just like basically, what's the word I'm looking for? They play with their food. Right? Like they get into these series,
I see that.
They play with their food, they blow big leads.
Who's that reflective of?
Okay, can you just let me finish, Mr. Needler over there?
Please, can I finish?
And so to me, if they're gonna let go of Missoula, then they need somebody that they start letting go of the rope and in these games where they have these big leads is gonna call a timeout and say, nah, like we're not. Cut the crap.
I see what you're saying.
I think being a motivator like that and having your finger on the pulse, if anything, like you can definitely pick that up as an assistant for sure.
So I
don't think that's predicated by experience.
If they're going to make a change, which they're not, but if they're going to make a change, and this goes back to Ace's question about football, I think it depends on the type of team that you have. Teams like the Patriots last year that were inexperienced and didn't really have had young players in big positions and didn't have a ton of playoff experience, they probably needed a Mike Vrabel that had coached before in the league, that had success before as a player and a coach and had this proven track record and resume. I look at Joe Mazzulla as a guy that was a really good talent developer. Like when the Jays were younger, and when these players that are playing big minutes for the Celtics now were younger players, those guys he can develop players like that. Is he a playoff coach? Like, is he a coach that's gonna get into a playoff series, get a couple games in? Because game 3 is always like the tilt, right?
Yeah.
That's always usually the tilt of a series. Like, is he going to get into a couple games and then realize, okay, like this is what the other team is doing. We need to press these 3 buttons to keep us going. Or is he more of like, sort of the holistic approach of like developing and that sort of thing? I think he's definitely more of like the talent developer than he is like the maestro. And I think this team with the Jays 10 years into their NBA careers, like they might need the guy that's going to make the in-game adjustments, not the guy.
I don't think that's a guy. I don't think that predicates experience. To your point, Ben Johnson. I know we're crossing sports here, but Ben Johnson wasn't he kind of that guy that you're describing, the football equivalent of that, the maestro?
Yeah,
didn't have playoff experience. Did a pretty good job there in Chicago.
He called plays in the playoffs though for Detroit.
That's true. Well, I mean, in the NBA, this is where it's imperfect because we don't necessarily know the assistants' roles as strongly defined as they are in football.
Yeah.
But like Sam Cassell's not just sitting there doing nothing. These assistants aren't just sitting there doing nothing. They all have roles.
If the Celtics were to move on from Missoula, and I like Sam Cassell, I think he's going to be a good coach someday.
I do too.
If they move on from Missoula, then I think they need to hire like a name brand coach.
I think that, but I think we were texting about this earlier. Like, could they find a first-time coach they like, whether it's Sam Cassell, somebody else, and then which Van Gundy was it that was on? It was 24, right, when they won the championship, and he was that guy. Like we talked about with Sean McVay having his, I can't do names today. Wade Phillips.
Is Wade Phillips.
Can you find, if you're not bringing that guy in as head coach, is it Sam Cassell, and then you find the Van Gundy, the Wade Phillips, the whoever, or do you just find that guy from Missoula? Because clearly that helped in 24 when they won.
I kind of wonder if that's where we're headed with this. And I know there are probably people that are pissed that we're talking about this.
Offseason. I miss the Boston Sports Minute.
Is all I've been thinking about since they lost Game 7 is the Boston Celtics. So sorry. But
I mean, it came right here from writing about the press conference.
Based off of Brad Stevens' comments today, where he did not seem thrilled about the job the coaching staff did in the playoff series, I do think that there's a chance that they hire like Tom Thibodeau,
Outside help.
who is not coaching right now.
Oh, I forgot Thibodeau doesn't have a job.
Yeah, he doesn't have a job. He obviously has been on the Celtics bench before.
Right.
Is a guy that is kind of known for being a little bit more of a tactician, certainly on the defensive side. He designed the 08 Celtics defense. He was like their defensive coordinator on that team.
I wish basketball teams did that.
He basically was that.
I know, but I wish we got the titles so we knew. Because it would make it more interesting to talk about this stuff. And I know people who followed really hardcore probably know, but
the way that 08 team was looked at was Doc Rivers was like the motivator. He was the mall cop. He was like negotiating.
He was Dan Campbell.
And like, he was, getting the big three to like play nice in the sandbox. And then Tom Thibodeau was drawing up
Ben Johnson
was the
but
schemer.
With defense.
Yeah, like Tex Winter to Phil Jackson, right? Like that, sort of thing. Maybe, I don't know if it's Thibodeau. Maybe it is. Like, maybe that's what
I'm not familiar enough with what coaches are available, but
I know he's available. I thought Mike Malone, who's now, I think he took the North Carolina job.
Yeah.
So like he was available. I thought he used to coach for the Nuggets. He won the Nuggets the title with Jokic a couple years ago. Like, guys like that. I want nothing to do with Doc Rivers.
That's fair.
Ship has sailed. But somebody like that.
Is Frank Vogel out there?
He was kicking around with the Lakers and stuff like that. I don't know if he's still on
his teams
staff.
are always scrappy. Did he ever win a title?
I think he might have been on the bubble Lakers.
Yeah, you're right. But his teams are always tough to play against. He is a Mavericks assistant.
Yeah.
So he's not out there.
So maybe something like that would make a lot of sense. As somebody that could help Joe
He's
out.
literally, he was hired as a head coaching consultant for Jason Kidd in Dallas. So that's that exact thing.
So that's your Celtics.
All right, back to football. Thank you for letting us do that.
Just a brutal end to
I think
a fun
since
season.
that game ended, we've texted way more about basketball than football, I think.
Yeah. Listen.
We could probably do like a 4-hour basketball show right now. Mix in a little
I'm a proud green teamer. And
you really are.
And even the green teamers right now are mad at what just happened. And when that happens, I think that's when the organization starts to feel pressure. Because if you start losing us, if you start losing the green teamers, the longtime season ticket holders, the Bill Simmonses of the world, like those people, that's when it starts to get dicey for the Boston Celtics. Because we are extremely loyal. Like, it's hard to... This is the first time, and they've had some bad playoff exits. This is the first time where I really am on the fence about Missoula. Like that, I've never gotten here before.
It even took you, because after the game, you really weren't, and it took you a couple days to get there.
It usually does. I process.
That's true. I remember you were in denial about the Tatum injury.
To be fair, I was right about that.
You were kind of right.
They won 56 games. I was definitely right. But
I remember, because remember, it took them like a couple hours, it was a day and change to announce.
You go through.
Why haven't they reported the surgery? And I remember at one point you texted me like, "What if they're not announcing it because he just sprained his ankle and he's fine?" And I'm like, dude,
because he's Captain America. Maybe he's fine.
He bounced back incredibly, and I hope they can maximize on it. I really do.
It takes a lot for me to be critical of that team.
No, you have been the last couple days.
The two things that I will say, and then I'll stop. I promise. But it's the off season. We got time to fill. The first thing that I will say is anybody criticizing Jason Tatum for not playing in Game 7 is an idiot.
I have no problem
I'm just going to flat
that.
out call you an idiot.
I think the bigger issue was the strategy they took into Game 7 without having him than him not playing.
Sure, but if you really thought it was smart to risk the franchise player in Game 7 of the first round of the playoffs, not the NBA Finals, the first round of the playoffs, and you thought it was smart when he clearly has a injury that's a precursor to a bigger injury, then you're just being obtuse. For the sake
I think
of being
that's
obtuse.
maybe what people have missed. It's a different conversation if his shoulder was bugging him and it was unrelated, but this is directly related.
This was
to the
back of the
Achilles.
knee, high calf, which is a direct relation to. This is exactly what happened to Tyrese Halliburton. Tyrese Halliburton last year had a calf strain. Tried to play through it in the NBA Finals and ruptured his Achilles.
Isn't that what happened to Durant too?
It also happened to Kevin Durant.
So
this is a classic overcompensation on the good leg, blow out the other Achilles nightmare, which we do not need. That would be the last thing.
I don't. It's unfortunate, but I don't fault him for that.
The other thing I would say, if you have to have a kumbaya, go to Top Golf, have a retreat, go somewhere. don't break up the Jays. Like, figure it out.
Well,
come together as a Brad Stevens, Joe Mazzulla. I think Derek White is kind of part of this too, a little bit. He's Jason Tatum's best friend on the team. Tatum, Jaylen Brown, go to some like darkness retreat somewhere for a weekend. I'm sure Joe Mazzulla's got all those queued up that wackadoo, right? Like, I'm sure he's got plenty of this figured out, and like, you're better together. It's the right, like, figure it out. Figure it out.
For better or worse, I think that's kind of up to Jaylen Brown right now. I don't think that's up to them. Like, if Jaylen Brown doesn't want to be here, he doesn't want to be here. If you can talk him into staying, or if this is all just noise, great. I think that they're at their best with the two of them, but I would not waste years of Tatum trying to get a disgruntled Jaylen Brown to play along to. I think at a certain point, and this is going to come down to Brad, and it's not an easy decision. I'm not saying this like you just make this decision spur of the moment. If Jaylen Brown isn't going to play ball, you got to make a tough choice, and you don't want to just drag that out too long if you're Brad Stevens.
But to me, what they need is a big man.
They need a center. How long have I been saying they need a true center?
But like, your idea of a true center is a little bit different than mine, I think.
I would take, and maybe not him because there's injury concerns, but like what Porzingis gave them was perfect. And I know he's a unicorn, but a guy who's a presence at the rim. Brad said it today. They need an offensive presence at the rim. If he has a jump shot too, great. They need an offensive presence a real offensive presence at the rim. Pick and roll, back to the basket. They need that.
He was their stabilizer. Like, offensively, and we can talk about, a football analogy here.
Yeah.
When they lost Porzingis, they became a team that can only throw the deep ball.
Right.
Like, they only had the deep ball. They didn't have anything underneath the defense. They didn't have a run game. They had no plan B. They had no, right hook, right? They had just a jab. And so then, when you play these teams like the Sixers, and the Sixers closed out space and they tightened up on the 3-point line and yada, 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 Porzingis gave them that extra, like, dimension in the half court, especially.
This has always been my thing with the 3-pointers. I know it gets under your skin. Shout out Tony Maserati for asking it.
Oh, yeah.
Do they shoot too many threes? It's not the raw number of threes, although shooting more threes than twos in the playoff series is wild. It's what else can they do? Because at a certain point, the threes are not going to fall. And I think their idea is to just shoot through it, which during a rough stretch in December against a bunch of bum Eastern Conference teams is fine. You can't do that in the playoffs. You need a plan B. You have to have, it can't just be we're going to bang our head. It's the West Coast thing. It's the Shanahan thing. We're going to bang our head against the wall till the wall breaks. You need a plan B. You need a counterpunch. You need something to go to. And what Porzingis gave them in 24 was that with the pick and roll game, with the pick and pop, again, with the back to the basket. Frankly, it should be Jaylen Brown as a slasher. And they refuse to really, emphasize that part of his game, which I think is the best part of his game.
Yeah.
But a center would massively help with that. They need a plan B. They don't have one.
They just become way too perimeter heavy.
Yeah.
It's dueling fiddles,
It's
Jason,
too many threes.
Tatum goes ISO, Jaylen goes ISO, or it's bombs away. Like, and those are kind of their options.
Too many threes?
It got 2-3 happy this year.
All right, there we go.
In the playoffs, not in the regular season, but in the playoffs.
Why? It's a different game in the.
But Porzingis at the nail, as they say, at the free throw line on a switch where he's got a little guy on him, and he would just turn around and shoot over him. Like, that was it's what Embiid did for the Sixers. It settles you down.
Yeah.
It just makes it's an easy basket.
How much Celtics? We just did like 10 minutes of Celtics.
It's okay.
Thank you for sticking through that.
I mean,
I hope
they
most
have no
people enjoyed
choice.
it.
Like, we're on until 2, and
I'm sure some didn't.
they can't do anything about it. Like, it's our show. Listen, like,
Bruins press conference coming up later.
this has been way more on my mind the last couple of days than the Patriots, for obvious reasons. So there you go. Couple questions from the emails here. Back to football, I promise. Yesterday, Stephon Diggs, his trial concluded, found not guilty. I don't want to talk about the legal part of it, not necessary, but are you just in or out in general? Like, would you bring Stephon Diggs back at this point?
Yeah, probably. I mean, him, AJ Brown, and Dobbs, that's a pretty good group. And you have Kyle Williams for depth, Mac Hollins for depth. Kayshon Bouttie's probably out at that point. I don't know, like Pop Douglas, not really sure how he would even fit in there, but I mean, you need, I guess one of them would have to say, you need the bodies. You need to carry 5 receivers, but, well, no, it'd be Diggs, Brown, Dobbs, Kyle Williams. So, yeah, there'd be Douglas, Hollins, and Booty for the last 1 or 2 spots. You want to throw one of those UDFAs in there, Efton Chisholm, but yeah, no, I think Diggs can play. I think he has good chemistry with Drake May. I think it clicked here for him. I'd probably do it as a 1-year deal. I wouldn't give him multiple years or anything like that, but on a 1-year deal, yeah, I'd be in. I still think he has something left in the tank.
So you're in with AJ Brown?
Okay, so if it's one or the other,
like let's say
I would rather have Diggs and a first-round pick than AJ Brown. If it's AJ Brown for less than a first-round pick, I'd rather have AJ Brown because I think he more complements what they have in place.
So I think it's interesting because is there a tiny bit, and I don't think it's enough to necessarily sway the trade too much, but is there a tiny bit of leverage here now that it's like, we haven't closed the door on Diggs yet? And the Patriots could very easily just say, the A.J. Brown thing was too pricey.
Yeah.
We're just going to pivot back to Stephon Diggs for another year.
Get Diggs, but I did find it weird that Elliot Wolf was asked multiple times this offseason about Stephon Diggs, and he never once committed to closing the door. So, yeah, maybe it gives you a little more leverage.
I just feel like
you have to end up with one of them.
I can't give up on the Stephon Diggs thing because I think he had a great year for this team last year. It got bumpy towards the end off the field, but on the field, I felt it was pretty good. I think the off field probably impacted the on field a little bit in terms of how he performed in the playoffs. It wasn't as good in the playoffs as it was in the regular season. And maybe some of the regular season stuff was like peak games. He obviously had the Buffalo game, the Baltimore game. I think he had a big game against like Carolina. He had some like big one-off performances in that season that elevated his season-long stats, and he had some duds mixed in as well. But in general, I thought that he more than did his job. Like, his job was to come in, be a number 1 wide receiver, lead the room, that sort of thing, and I think he did that. So I'm not totally against bringing Stephon Diggs back. Would I do it with A.J. Brown? That's getting a little dicey for me. I think that's a lot of...
You don't want both of them? That was your master plan at the beginning of the offseason.
Football-wise, I love it.
Yeah.
They already have Romeo Doubs in here.
Yeah.
A.J. Brown and Diggs are 2 big personalities. It would be interesting to see how they would manage that piece of it.
I think the upside is too high.
It's immense, but
it's a risk, but holy crap, that upside.
So, like, Romeo Doubs then easily becomes a third fiddle.
Yeah.
It's an expensive third fiddle.
That's a great spot for him, though.
It's an $18 million third fiddle.
That's not that much for a receiver.
For a third receiver, it is. For a second receiver, it's not. For a number 1 receiver, it's a bargain if he plays like one.
So
I'm not against the whole idea. I really am. I'm not.
He is, where do we want to go? AAV, fully guaranteed AAV, right?
Yeah.
He is, I think, outside the top 30.
Yeah, I believe that.
So the Broncos have at least 2 wide receivers at the top here. Oh, but I guess I would need to find a team that has 3. The Seahawks' third receiver makes comparable money.
So,
because they have Rashid Shaheed, who they just paid, Cooper Kupp, and then obviously JSN. Hey, that's the team that just won the Super Bowl. You want to compete with that? Like that? Isn't that the case for it?
And I would expect Diggs' market to start to move. I think this ongoing legal battle is what.
Well, so what do you think he
held
gets?
Up his what does he really get versus what the reported numbers are? I think are going to be 2 very different things.
AAV. What do you think he gets AAV?
Around what he got last year from the Patriots.
What was that? I was like
in the high teens. I want to say
high teens.
Yeah, that's what I think it was. I don't know.
Because that's where Dobbs is.
Yeah, I think that he'll get probably a reported similar contract to that. What's real and what's fake is, can be determined. So he was at 21.1 with the Patriots last year. It was a 3-year, $63 million deal. Obviously, all of it was Fugazi, but that was the contract that was reported. So 21.1 or 21.2 million with 16.6 guaranteed.
The Titans are kind of right in this ballpark of having like 3 of their wide receivers be paid top.
It's crazy for a team that's not very good.
Well, I don't know how you want to do Cardinal Tate's contract in that because he just naturally is a big rookie contract, but he's in there. Like, who else is up here? The Packers, but they don't have one of the guys at like the top of the list. If the Seahawks have it, like,
I just wonder if they feel like, and when I say they, I mean the Patriots.
Yeah.
There's a very good chance that internally they feel like Romeo Doubs can get comparable production as Stephon Diggs.
What if you had both?
But what do you need to bring in the baggage that comes with it? Like, is it really worth?
I just think that the upside of that room is so high that I'd take the risk.
Okay, fair enough. I'm not closing the door on it. They didn't either. Elliott Wolf hasn't closed any doors.
You have to come out with one of them. You absolutely have to come out with one of them. I'd rather have Diggs if it's going to be a first-round pick, especially if it's a 27 first to get A.J. Brown. But if it's A.J. Brown for a second or Diggs in free agency, I think I'd rather have Brown.
I just wonder how quickly the Diggs market moves because obviously A.J. Brown's still got a month to go here until he's quote-unquote trade eligible. So Diggs...
Does Diggs wait to see what happens with Brown? If there is another team that we don't know about that's suddenly now more desperate, now he has more leverage.
It's possible. I have thought from the beginning with this whole Diggs thing that, if we think of the receivers as a game of musical chairs.
Yeah.
And the music is stopping, and it just feels like Diggs and the Patriots are just kind of destined, right? Like, we're like, the Patriots have kicked the tires on all these other options. Diggs has kind of been hanging out there, waiting for his legal troubles to kind of be in the past and probably a little bit too. And then the music stops, and it's like, it's just a marriage that's meant to be.
Look, you don't have to talk me into Stephon Diggs.
Yeah, he was good here last year.
I'd be all for it, but
it fizzled out. But he was good when he was good.
Yeah.
There's a email that the subject line says that if I don't read this email, I'm going to be cursed for the next 5 years. So I guess I better read the email. So yesterday, Fred and I discussed the Celtics briefly, and he was shouting at me about the Celtics.
Okay.
Because he's also a needler, just like Alex is when it comes to this topic. But I use the comparison, which I don't think you're a big fan of comparing the Celtics and the Patriots, because I'm trying to make it Patriots-centric.
I think, it's different.
So my argument was that the Celtics and the Patriots over the last calendar year, let's call it, had these kind of unexpected seasons. Like the Celtics last year, their win total was 41.5, I think, or like 41 games, right around there. They ended up winning 56. They got the 2 seed. Jason Tatum comes back at the end of the year. And so all of a sudden their expectation went from, frankly, a team that was like a play-in to lottery team to a favorite to come out of the Eastern Conference. And then the Patriots, similarly, when we kept moving the goalposts, right? Like the first part of the season starts, they started 2-2, right? Or 1-2. They lost to the opener into Pittsburgh. Then they go on that run in October where they win the 3 straight road games, the game in Buffalo, and all of a sudden the goalpost moved a little bit. Like, this could be a good, a frisky season. Then they win 10 straight games, and all of a sudden it's, this is a playoff team. And then they keep winning, and it's like, okay, well, now it's a Super Bowl team. I think that it's similar in that respect. They're in very different places of their builds, right? Like the Celtics are a built now team. The Patriots are still building. The Celtics are in a win now contention mode type of thing. But I think their seasons in a vacuum had a similar upward trajectory.
A little bit, but I think the difference is, one, that Celtics win total was always ridiculous. Jaylen Brown and Derek White are great players. The Eastern Conference was worse comparatively than what the AFC was, and the AFC was not good. I also think it was fair once Tatum came back and we saw what he was to shift the expectations for that team. The Patriots, it really felt like week to week, you were kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Yeah.
The Celtics are an experienced team with proven players, and they got bounced in the first round by an inferior opponent. I don't think the Patriots lost to an inferior opponent. Like, Seahawks is a better team.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Sixers are not a better team than the Celtics.
You don't think so?
No.
I think the fully...
Especially once they got up 3-1.
Right, but they got up 3-1 on a team that didn't have a healthy Joel Embiid.
I think the Celtics are a better team than the Sixers.
I think unfortunately the talent gap proved out to be a lot closer than we thought it would be. Like when the Sixers got out on the court, I go, we're doing basketball again.
They opened the door. They opened the door for him though.
But when you have Maxey, Edgecombe, Paul George, and Embiid on the court together, that's a really good.
Paul George hasn't played like that in years.
I know, it was ridiculous.
And the Celtics opened that opportunity for him.
It sucked.
Whereas
all of a sudden he looks like it was 10 years ago.
I guess maybe you could say a little bit with that with Sam Darnold. But Sam Darnold didn't even play well in the Super Bowl.
It was like Indiana, Paul George all of a sudden.
Yeah, so the Celtics opened that door.
No, the Celtics definitely was worse. And it was...
So this is what we were talking about yesterday. Like the idea that the Celtics might have been fraudulent as a title contender because they looked like the Eastern Conference contender up until very suddenly they didn't. I don't think... Yes, the Patriots season, the Patriots got exposed, definitely. I wouldn't say they were fraudulent. I think everybody said all along, they're one of the best teams in the AFC. They have a chance to come out, but the NFC is better than the AFC, and whoever comes out of the AFC is probably going to have a tough task ahead of them, and that's what bore out. The Celtics, we talked about, it was kind of the same thing in that they're, if not the best team in the East, one of the best. It was them or Detroit, and the West is, or in the East, the West is much better, and whether it's the Spurs or whoever, it's going to be a tough test. But the Celtics never got to that test.
Yeah.
They lost to one of the teams that they were viewed as superior to.
Yeah, I think that's all fair. The Celtics definitely had higher expectations, and they definitely choked harder than the Patriots. There's no doubt about that. But I do think that, Brad Stevens said it today. The Patriots have made clear about this as well. If you had told them before the season started the Celtics were going to win 56 games and be the 2 seed, they would probably, without Jason Tatum, by the way, they probably would have been like, holy crap, that's pretty good.
Right.
If you told the Patriots before the 2025 season started that they were going to go to the Super Bowl, I think all of us would have thought you were crazy, right? So it's a little similar in that regard. But what I thought was interesting, to further the analogy with the Patriots, what the best part of their offseason so far, in my opinion, it might not all work, but the best part of their offseason, in my opinion, so far, is that they didn't get married to the team that just went to the Super Bowl.
That's a great point.
They were awake to the fact that they overachieved a little bit. I think, and they had some breaks, and they had the schedule, and Bo Nix getting hurt, and all these different things that went their way. And so they didn't sit there and say, well, we have a Super Bowl team. They stayed this course. They continued with the process. They gutted the roster in areas that they were always planning on gutting the roster. They didn't keep Jelani Tavai and Anthony Jennings and all these players that they said this time last year were probably not going to be long-term fits. They stayed the course. And I think that that's the best way to go about things.
I go back to something we said for the Patriots as being, I remember saying this was one of the big questions of the Patriots offseason going in. How do you balance this unexpected, rapid rise in the success that you had for most of the season versus you saw what it takes to win a championship and you clearly weren't at that level? And the last game of the year is always the biggest evaluation. How do you not overreact to the way the Super Bowl went without also underreacting to it? Because that game deserved a reaction.
Yeah.
And that's not an easy line to walk. We were saying this, I brought this up in the offseason, let's talk through it. I don't know what the answer is. I think they did a pretty good job of that.
Yeah.
I think they addressed some of we were talking earlier about the run game and the outside run game and specifically and building up on the edge. I remember when we were talking about, this was about Zion Young, it sort of applies to Gabe Akis. I remember being on a show and talking about, the interesting thing with Zion Young is we talked about them needing to improve their pass rush. He's more of probably a run player, an edge setter than a pass rusher. And it's well, how do you square that with Patriots fans who want to see the pass rush improve? And I said, you ask them if they remember all those times Kenneth Walker turned the corner in the Super Bowl.
I do.
Right? And so it feels like that was something that needed to be addressed. They didn't go overboard in doing it. I think they just addressed it without blowing up other things and moved on. So I think that it's not easy to do. Credit to Elliott Wolf and Mike Vrabel in the front office for walking that line. I think they did it. We'll see ultimately how it bears out. But that was a big thing that the Patriots were going to have to tiptoe. And I don't know, it's quite the same with Celtics because there's the Jaylen Brown of it all and what does he want. But yeah, there's some comparison there.
I think that's the best part of this offseason to me so far. You've opened up opportunities for the Patriots I'm talking about to hopefully have players with higher ceilings in some of the roles that they had before.
Right.
Right. That
how many
you're not
times
married
do you say pipeline draft?
They could easily have run it back and said this team won 14 games and went to the Super Bowl. We're going to bring all the same cast of characters back. And I think the other thing that, is lingering to me about the Patriots, last year was one of the most unique vibes years I've ever been a part of. Their vibes were off the
It
charts.
was a great team.
The locker
Great
room
locker
was
room.
bumping every single day. Vrabel was on a heater. Everything that he did was worked. Every button he pushed up until the Super Bowl, obviously, all of it worked. And replicating that exact same thing with again and just expecting to run it back and have it go the exact same way is not realistic.
Yeah.
And so the one thing, and I'm not usually like the vibes guy. I'm usually
You're so anti
the
this. This is
analytical
surprising.
guy. But the one thing that I think, people talk about the schedule. People talk about, having a target more on your back this year. All these other things that are more tangible. But how do they recreate the vibe, the magic? How do they? What's what's Warriors next year? What's like all these other like gimmicky things that Vrabel did that worked? All of it worked.
Yeah, you're looking at. I mean, that's a leadership thing. That's a culture thing.
Yeah,
you're going to kind of lean on Drake May for that. Morgan Moses, Will Campbell, Milton Williams, Robert Spillane, Marcus Jones, like those guys. Look, I've covered a lot of different teams from Division III to the NFL, different sports, all that, and so you can't force that thing, whatever you want to call it. I don't call it culture because to me, culture is more of a year to year, but like that individual, I guess, identity, the identity of an individual team year to year. And there are some teams that are really special. There are some teams that never really get that. And it just becomes a 9 to 5, punch your clock, show up, go home.
Yeah.
And I think we've both covered teams like that as well.
We've covered teams like that have won a Super Bowl.
Oh, that too.
That was what was so crazy about last year was like the teams that we covered at the end of Brady's run in 2018 and even 2019 were objectively more talented football teams.
The 18 team had some juice. The 19 team was very transactional.
The 18 team had juice in the respect of like the nobody believes in us anymore kind of juice. Like, they would walk, which was hilarious because they were in the Super Bowl in 2017, but they still like somehow figured out a way to make themselves the underdog. But I never felt like they were having fun, like the team was having fun last year. And I know that that's so corny, but like it just, I never felt that way.
I don't think fun has to necessarily be a part of the identity. That's one of them you can have. Like that was definitely more fun identity. But the biggest thing for me is like I've seen where you have a really good year and then you come back and you try to like, all right, like this is going to be just like last year and we're going to, and it's not, and you can't force it.
That's why they're not doing it.
Work. You can like, there's definitely like it can inform, and I'm not saying like forget about everything that happened last year, but like Warriors is a great one. That was last year's team. Make that like there will be a new thing this year, and some of the other stuff they were doing, like the maybe the dinners continue, maybe that the offensive line, but like maybe Shirley Temple has become something else or something like that. Like you just have to let it come naturally. When you try to force those things, it just gets very uncomfortable, and it's not easy. But that's where you lean on strong leadership, and that's where I think it'll be really interesting to see. We've very, very, very small glimpse of it in some of these offseason videos they've put out. Like Drake May was a leader last year, but I also think,
his confidence has to be
right. It's a different, like last year it was, he hadn't been there, done that. He hadn't proven it. And you had these veterans that had been around. And I think he was leading in the way that a quarterback leads, but was it Drake May's team last year? Was Drake May the guy in the locker room? He was the guy on the field. Was Drake May the guy in the locker room? I don't know. And I'm not faulting him for it. He was a young guy. It was his first year as a starter. They had a lot of strong veteran personalities. Like you look at what Diggs was the guy giving those speeches, right?
Yeah.
So
a lot of the time,
I think this year it's Drake May stepping into that where he is the guy, not just on the field, but in the locker room. It's, he's talking, everybody shuts up and listens. I get why he was. And there were moments where it seemed like he was that guy last year. It's now the Drake May show. And it's going to be interesting to see how he grows in that role.
I would say that, all three of them, Gonzalez, May, Will Campbell. And we had an email about,
Campbell's a good one.
Campbell, when he was drafted, and the email was just asking if any other team has had first round run like that over the last 3 years. I'm sure some people would feel a little bit skeptical about putting Will Campbell on that list right now, but
if he's a starting tackle, he's in the group.
If you drafted a franchise quarterback, a star corner, and a starting left tackle in 3 consecutive drafts, that's a pretty good run. Now, you had top 5 picks in 2 of the drafts, so you'd like to think you did. But the point being with Will Campbell, separate from his play, he was touted as a culture-changing personality.
Right.
Like somebody
Tone setter.
that was going to come into an offensive line room and immediately shift the vibe in that room.
Right.
And I think that, Morgan Moses and Garrett Bradbury probably did the most of that last year.
Yeah.
But Garrett Bradbury's gone.
Yeah.
Morgan Moses is, going to be gone. He's on his way
Right.
out.
I'd even throw Nwenu in there too, and he's in a contract.
Yeah.
year.
So that's part of it too. Yeah, absolutely. A lot of people got mad about Randy Moss. Did you say something? You said something on a podcast about Randy?
I think
they're very salty about
there's
this.
a case for Randy Moss to be in the Patriots Hall of Fame.
So
I know people don't like this, but I go back to the ovation he got Brady night.
Yeah.
He is a part of the DNA of this organization. I'm not rushing to put him in. There's a long list of guys that should go in before him. I don't think he's a no. Because this is on Patriots Beat. We were also getting questions about Matthew Judon and who were
Hunter Henry.
Hunter Henry. Well, I've said there's a case for Hunter Henry. No, there were some other even just some of the dynasty era guys who weren't quite Dietrich Wise.
Jonathan Jones.
Jonathan, you can make a case for Jonathan Jones before Randy Moss, but he was captain and all that.
So the question was, did you say that people think of Randy Moss as a Patriot and not a Viking?
I said if you ask the neutral NFL fan what team do you associate Randy Moss with most, I think it would be close between Patriots and Vikings.
So the emailer said he thought you were crazy for thinking that they wouldn't say Vikings. I think it depends on what age of a fan you're asking.
Fair.
If you're asking an older fan then that remembers him more in Minnesota, then maybe. But his most iconic season happened with the Patriots.
Right.
It's a record-breaking
Not just his
season.
most iconic season, maybe the greatest wide receiver season of all time.
Happened with the Patriots.
So, and then somebody's like, well, do you consider Revis a Patriot? No, but Revis was with the Jets.
And I wouldn't say as good as Revis was in 2014, he wasn't Randy Moss in 2007 good. He was very good, but he wasn't.
Right. His best season was with the Jets.
Yeah, 100%.
So, was it on this show or another show where we realized I never put it together that we took Kevin Garnett and Randy Moss from Minnesota at the same time? And then they were both
I didn't put that together.
You ever put that together? I forget where that was.
Well, Randy Moss was with the Raiders when they technically
right,
got
but they both came here at the same time.
Yeah.
And were awesome. See, Kevin Garnett, I think more people would say Timberwolves than would say Vikings for Randy Moss.
You think?
Yeah. He was there. How long was Randy Moss with the
Vikings?
Yeah. I think Garnett was a Timberwolf longer than Moss was a Viking.
1998 draft pick,
so
I
he was
say.
In Minnesota for 8 years. Garnett was in Minnesota for 14 years.
Yeah, won a league MVP. Was probably had the belt of the best player in the league at one point in Minnesota, I would say.
I think both of them did.
Well, best receiver.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Interesting. I don't know.
We
because I think KG, because of all the stuff that he does with Pierce, he kind of. But he's kind of been more of a Celtic in his post playing career.
But look at Randy Moss. Randy Moss is more national, but he's always doing the defend the wall stuff.
Yeah, no,
it's always him and Brewski together.
Yeah.
Again, when he came back for the Brady thing, I don't know how much he does with the Vikings, honestly, because maybe I'm missing some. I feel like I see him doing more Patriots stuff than Viking stuff now.
I mean, it's certainly, no offense to the Vikings, it's a more recognizable brand. So, if you're branding yourself as a national analyst, Gronk,
maybe that's part of it.
Obviously, Edelman's a one-team guy, so that's different. But Gronk and Brady and Randy Moss and all these other guys that have turned into media careers.
Yeah,
all those guys are being touted as a part of the Patriots dynasty, right?
Fair. So I don't know. That was just my thought process. Was I think Randy Moss is pretty. Because somebody had said something about how much is Randy Moss really associated with the Patriots. I'm like, a lot.
Well, I'm 110% for Wes Welker in the Patriots Hall of Fame. That one, I think, is a slam dunk should happen.
Yeah, I think it's a long list ahead
Randy
of him,
Moss
too,
it was a 1 year. It was a great year, but it was 1 year.
I don't know if they would do it. Well, he's pretty good in 2009, too. I mean, I know that's the forgotten year.
He was decent with
but
Castle.
He was pretty good in 2009. I don't know if they would do this. I honestly don't even know how I would feel about this. Should they just induct the 2007 team and be done with it?
No.
Yeah, I hated that as I was saying it.
Yeah, no, corny. No.
Yeah, I don't love
the
that.
one thing about the Patriots Hall of Fame that I have sort of come around to, and I don't know if this is definitely, I don't know if we could do this, and it's not to take a shot at our fans, but it's a lot to put on the fans, right? But doing it ballot style, like the Baseball Hall of Fame does it, where you have like 10 to 15 guys on a ballot, and there's a threshold. Like if every player gets over 80%, then if it's 10 guys that get over 80%, then all 10 go in. If it's 3 guys or 1 guy or no guys, then nobody goes in. But I think that there's an argument to be made that there should be multiples, but they have to earn it. You know what I mean?
I like that it's one a year. I do, and I think it makes it matter more. I think it's a special weekend celebrating that player, and you would lose some of that.
There's no doubt that it's better in terms of that piece of it.
But that's what it's all about to me. It's about celebrating, and I don't mind like if Robert Kraft wants to keep doing that second contributor thing too. Like we talked about this a couple weeks ago. Ernie Adams, Ivan Fears. Oh man, why am I blanking? Nancy Meyer. Blanked on the last name. She'll get in. She should get in soon. People like that. But I think it's special. And the other thing is, if you start doing multiples because you want to get guys in, like eventually you are going to hit a point where now we're talking about guys who maybe don't deserve it as much.
But if you get into that piece of it, like this way here, like you don't need to vote anybody in.
So I like that it's an annual thing. I wouldn't want to have a year where there's no inductee either.
Okay. So that's the way and again, I'm not trying to take a shot at the fans.
Right.
It's just like those baseball people are supposed to at least put a lot of thought and research into that. And I don't expect all of you guys to do that.
What they could maybe do is is it the NBA All-Star Game that does this? The fan voting's a third.
Yeah.
Do a media vote as a third, and then that committee is a third.
Yeah.
And I guess in theory, each group could vote for one, and you could have 1-1-1, but like if somebody gets 2/3 or all, then they're in, and maybe you add other elements. Again, you couldn't have 3 different groups with 3 people on the ballot. Right. That wouldn't work. Or
I think that this is a now problem a little bit.
Yeah, like it's going to thin out.
Eventually, it's going to thin out.
Yeah.
Now, if Drake May and Mike Vrabel put together their own run here,
right,
then maybe it never will.
And that would be a great problem to have.
And we're just super spoiled.
And if we have to wait, an extra 10 years for like Robert Spillane to get in the Patriots Hall of Fame, so be it. I was trying to think of somebody who would be like that fringy guy. I don't know that he'll be here long enough. Who would be like that fringy guy? Who would be like the Jonathan Jones, Dietrich Wise of these teams?
It's a good question. Marcus Jones?
There
you go. You said Jones. So
no, that's a fair one. If we have to wait for like a little extra for Marcus Jones to get in, I'm okay with that. Sorry, Marcus.
I do. So next year on the Patriots Hall of Fame front, it will be Devin McCourty's first year of eligibility. I said yesterday, and I still feel this way. I think Adam Vinatieri wins that vote. I do.
I do too. I'm just surprised, and then Devin will get in next, and then we'll have Slater.
Yeah. Hightower is
so
eligible.
Okay. Why is he not getting more love? Why is Dante Hightower not getting more love with this?
I don't know, because
I don't know that he.
Ball.
I don't know that he should have.
Not the fans.
I have
he wasn't even on the ballot.
I have no problem with Gronk getting in over him.
Yeah.
I frankly, Vinatieri, fine. I think he's on equal footing with McCourty and Slater. I know those guys were here a little bit longer, but
even more so. Like in terms of like marquee big plays and big moments, like Hightower has 3 iconic Super Bowl performances.
Right. The only thing those guys have over him is longevity.
Hightower tackles Marshawn Lynch with one arm.
With one arm.
At the goal line.
A little bit of help from Akeem Ayers. Shout out Akeem Ayers.
Strip sacks Matt Ryan in Super Bowl 51 to start, or big part of the 28-3 comeback. Basically, like I would say the starting point of the 28-3 comeback.
It's him and Trey Flowers.
Could have been Super Bowl MVP of Super Bowl 53. Like had a just dominant performance against the Rams.
Yeah, he didn't have the one play,
but was just a huge part of all the way the 6-1. The way they structured that game plan defensively was all because they had one guy in the middle of the field that they could stop the run in the interior run with one guy.
No, he had the pressure too on the. Did he have the pressure?
No, it was a blitz. It was an all out
on the interception. No, but who was right in his face?
One of the DBs. I can't remember which one it was. I remember it like it was yesterday. It was a trail blitz, 2 guys through the B gap, running back can only take 1.
Or was it maybe I'm thinking
I mean, he had like 5 pressures in the game, bunch of stunts.
It's Deron Harmon.
A bunch of stuff going on up front with him in that game. He was dominant in that game. He was awesome.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think he should have more of a case. I think he is
Me too.
one of the most dominant players in the history of this franchise.
I got finger wagged for saying that. Just saying.
Was it the Cooks drop in the back of the end zone that maybe I'm thinking of?
Could be. He had a great game. He was one of his better performances. Yeah. He was dominant in that game. So really 3 Super Bowls that he was a linchpin. Like he was a true needed to have him or they would have lost the game type of player. I'm the biggest Dante Hightower fan. But like we had this thing, with Seymour a little bit with Will Fork in terms of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Like if you don't actually look at all the little things that they do and if you don't put like enough of an emphasis on that, if you don't care enough about the fact that Vince Wilfork would eat like 3 blocks, and let somebody else make a play, or Richard Seymour would 2 gap and like deter the back and make the back go elsewhere, and someone else would make the play, or Hightower would meet like a puller or a lead blocker and smash that guy, and that would cause a domino ripple effect that would blow up a play. Like if that stuff doesn't move you, if that doesn't move the needle for you, then like you're not gonna see the greatness, right? Like you're not gonna get it.
But he's just an unbelievable player. Also, it was Kyle Van Noy and Danny Shelton and Jared Goff kind of in his face.
Kyle Van Noy had a really good game that day too.
Kyle Van Noy was really good.
I mean, the whole defense.
Yeah, the defense didn't play well.
This is a football question, and we have some calls that we can wrap it up with.
All right.
So this is from Andrew. He asked, people keep saying that Jared Wilson's natural position is center because he doesn't have the power to play guard. It doesn't make sense to me that power is less important at center. What is it about center that makes it less vulnerable to opposing DTs collapsing the pocket with raw power? So I think it's a couple of different things with center. The first thing is that fewer and fewer teams line a nose tackle head up over the center anymore. So like having a guy that's lined up directly over the center that's just trying to bull rush the center is becoming a less and less frequent way to distribute your people, your chess pieces. So there's less of that going on in the league. I would say there's also less double teams and like movement. Like you're not necessarily asking the center to like get on a combo or get on a double as much as you are at asking a guard and a tackle to do that. So the center is kind of usually, all these things are sort of adding up. He's usually, there's usually nobody head up over him. So he's kind of a free player in the middle there. So there's a little bit more flexibility for the center, a little bit more freedom for the center. It's not as much of a car crash at times for the center than it is at guard. Guard has a lot of one-on-one responsibility, and especially pass blocking because of how many teams utilize the 3 technique. Like the guy that's shaded into the B gap is a 3 technique. The center usually has help or usually has the guard next to him or sometimes is not covered up at all. So there's a lot less of that like immediate raw power car crash going on at center. So that's why the power thing is kind of mitigated just a little bit at that position. Centers are usually athletic. Like you usually want them to be a little bit more undersized, a little bit athletic.
Because there's a lot of movement from the snap to getting up. You can pull them.
Yeah, a lot of that stuff going on. All right, a couple more calls here. We're going to wrap it up. CJ is on the line. What's up, CJ?
Hey, what's up, guys? Quick question for you. I know last season it was a surprise, I think, to most for the Patriots to do as well as they did make it all the way to the Super Bowl. And on the flip side of that, I think it was a surprise for a lot of people to see the Chiefs do as bad as they did. Who do you guys think is going to be a surprise this year, up or down?
Surprise team this year? That's what you're asking?
Yeah.
Okay, so I've heard, thanks for the call, CJ. I've heard a lot of buzz about the Giants. I'm not sure.
It depends how much a believer you are in Jackson Dart. They've put a nice product around him.
And they have a good coach now.
But if you're not a believer in him, that kind of tapers it. I'll say this. If you want to look at the team that it feels like tried to mirror what the Patriots did last year the most, it's the Titans. And again, that comes down to how much do you believe in Cam Ward.
Or Robert Saleh.
But, yeah, okay, fair. They went out, they invested. That's a spot I think they should be calling Stephon Diggs. 100%. They've upgraded their defense a little bit. They play in a very weak division. They're going to have a weak schedule. Like, I look at the Titans as maybe being like this year's Patriots.
Okay, I have one more team for you.
Okay. We should do a surprise down team.
So this is a very surprise one. This is like a hot, maybe not a hot take, but like bold prediction.
Is it going to make me angry?
I kind of like what the Raiders did this offseason.
Yeah, that would be another one.
So,
No, that's fair.
Clint Kubiak, I believe in.
Yeah.
As an offensive mind. I don't know as a head coach yet.
It's another team that should call Diggs.
Fernando Mendoza, I believe in.
Yeah.
Genty.
Yeah.
Bowers. They upgraded their offensive line with Linderbaum at center, which is always good for a young quarterback. They might, I don't know if they have the pieces yet on defense, but the Max Crosby trade actually falling through was kind of a blessing in disguise for them. So they still have Max Crosby.
If Jermon McCoy stays healthy, they got a top 10 talent in the 4th round.
Yeah, we'll see if he stays healthy.
Yeah, it's a big if. But
I like what the Raiders have done. Are they ready to go from 4-13 to 14-3? Maybe it's a little bit more of a like they take a step and then another step for them. But if Mendoza is a franchise quarterback, like the Colts did it with Andrew Luck, like if he's that good, then they have a chance, I think, to be a surprise team.
Who's your surprise doing worse team?
That's a good question.
I am surprised you don't have an instant answer for that, because there's a team that you don't like that had an interesting offseason.
A team I don't like that had an interesting offseason?
I was going to say bad, then I remembered they traded for a receiver.
Who was it?
The Broncos.
That's true. But they traded for Jalen Waddle. It's a good move.
That's why I paused. But, where's Sean Payton, Bo Nix? Where's that thing at?
Yeah, and not that I'm rooting for him to get hurt, but apparently, he had another cleanup procedure on his ankle.
Yeah.
They're saying that it was part of the process, but that's never good.
Remember, Bo Nix gave a separate press conference where he was unhappy how Sean Payton talked about the injury, and
it's a good one.
Then they fired the offensive coordinator, even though Sean Payton was the play caller. There's a weird thing going on around that team right now.
I don't know if it's necessarily a great answer, but Jacksonville to me just constantly is going up and down.
Was Jacksonville even that? I know they went 13-4.
They won 13 games.
Yeah, that was an under one. Yeah, all right. Jacksonville's a fair one.
I just feel like that team in general, that organization, is always they have the Doug Peterson year where they have to come back against the Chargers in the playoffs, and then they're right back in the bottom.
Jacksonville's a good one, and then I would put I'll put Chicago on there.
Of course you will.
I don't know. Let's see if they. I put the Bears where I put the Patriots. They could be a better team with a worse record. They're gonna have a lot more of a target on their back now.
I feel pretty good about all these other teams, honestly. I just think Houston, I worry about their offense and Stroud, but their defense is so dominant.
Defense is so good. They're going to be a pain in the ass to play every week.
The Rams are obviously always going to be good.
The Rams will be good
Seattle's
again.
going to be good.
Yeah.
Buffalo, I know you would love that.
I mean, I say it every year that they're due for a bit of a backslide, so I feel like it doesn't mean anything anymore when I say it.
There's a chance Joe Brady's not a good coach.
There's a very good there's a chance again that, although they kind of backslid last year. So,
but they had
it's already kind of started.
As much as he couldn't get them over the hump, they had a floor with McDermott.
Yeah.
We don't know what
So you're talking about potentially missing the playoffs.
We don't know what the floor is with Joe Brady. He's never coached before.
It means a lot more coming from you than me, so I'll just let you say it.
I didn't.
If I say it,
I don't love what they're doing.
I don't either. But when I say it, people are just like, "Oh, Barth hates the Bills. Hater." When you say it, it holds weight. So I'm just going to let you do it.
It's a weird build. And maybe DJ Moore ends up going back to being like DJ Moore of the end of Carolina, early Chicago DJ Moore, and that would help a lot. But it's just been kind of a weird build for them. I don't know. I'm just not. I'm on the fence about that one. Maybe Josh. The only thing I would say that you'll hate. There's a chance that Josh Allen's just too good to stink. He might just be so good that they're a 500-plus team no matter what.
So you're saying, what if he's Phillip Rivers?
I'm saying that he might be too good to stink.
You just described Phillip Rivers.
I'm saying he might be too good to stink.
You just described Phillip Rivers.
All right, let's take this last call and we got to go. Sam's in North Carolina. What's up, Sam?
What's up, fellas? Barth, the way you just flipped that's hilarious.
Thank you.
But if Desmond Bain and Mikal Bridges went for 5 first-round picks, what could you get for Jaylen Brown? Because, the time, you got a championship out of it, I think it's kind of ran its course. And I'll take it off the air for one last question.
Thanks, Sam.
That's awesome.
I love that we just got a basketball call.
Got a Celtics call.
That's great,
I like
Sam.
Desmond
I love
Bain,
it. So my Jaylen Brown trade, I'm not super big on Giannis. I'm not. talent-wise is the best player you can get, no doubt.
Right.
But he's 32. He's always hurt.
He's not really a center. He's going to come here and play center, but he's not
going to be
really
like a small ball center here.
Yeah.
I really kind of like the idea of Bam Adebayo.
I like Bam.
BFF of Jason Tatum's.
Yeah.
He's added a 3-point shot to his game now. He scored like 100 points this season. So
Yeah.
he can stretch the floor a little bit, but he knows how to do the dirty work. He knows how to protect the rim. He knows how to rebound. He knows how to catch lobs. Like, he's like he's a great fit with Tatum. He's a great fit with Tatum.
I need to get over the fact that he's a 6'9" center because I'm old school like that. But like,
yeah, but he can jump.
No, he can play. That would be, and you'd probably get more back. It'd probably be what, Bam and a couple picks.
And he's only 28. Like,
he's only 28.
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't realize that. Maybe you can get a guard from them too because they need like a distributing guard as well.
I mean, I would love to find a way to get Bam here with both of them, but he's a max contract guy. It's not going to happen. So
it'd be Bam and picks.
Yeah.
What was the other one I was texting you about last night?
Oh, the terrible one, Jamal Murray.
You were pissed.
No.
Can you get Jamal Murray? And they had a center in Valanciunas.
Oh God, the guy, they literally couldn't play him in their playoff
That's a little
series.
more horses for ponies. I'll give you that. No, I would take Bam. I would.
Bam's a good player.
Bam would be cool. Bam would be cool. I think he'd be a great fit for what they have. He'd add what they need.
Very.
I think I'd rather have Jaylen Brown.
Yeah.
Let me be perfectly clear about that.
If they have to trade him.
But if Jaylen Brown wants out, yeah, I mean, Bam plus picks, or probably you're talking about straight up, or maybe even picks going back for Giannis.
I would like to think, though, that he brought up Desmond Bane and Mikal Bridges. I would like to think that the Celtics would make that trade to add somebody like that to Tatum and
Right.
Brown.
So the thing, like, if you're not getting a player, yeah, you're getting.
Like,
what's the most picks you can get?
I would hope that I'm saying, though, is I would hope that what's on the table is trying to do that trade to get somebody to play with the Jays, not to trade out Jaylen Brown. But like, if you're trading out Jaylen Brown, you're probably trading him for Giannis.
Well, unless they see it as like maybe there's a guy they really like in the draft, and it's okay. We're gonna have one less guy for this year. Use that money, sign somebody to 1-year deal, and then we're gonna try to
go out, go and get your Porzingis trade. Go get the
Jaylen
final
Brown
piece.
and how many picks for Cooper Flag? Your boy. Would you do it?
All right, that's enough. That's enough of that. All right, thanks for the Celtics call.
That was awesome. That was great.
That meant a lot to me. That really told me that we nailed it with our Celtics talk. All right, we'll be back next week. We'll have rookie minicamp to talk
it'll be all
about
football
next week, so it'll be more football, I promise. Thanks for humoring us on the Celtics. Patriots Unfiltered tomorrow, big day down here. Rookies will be here. Caleb Lomu at 4:00. We'll carry that live on Patriots.com. We'll see you guys then.
Bye.
Hey, this is Deuce. Thanks for tuning into the show. If you really want to help us, make sure you like us wherever you get your podcasts, like Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Also, make sure you follow us on the New England Patriots YouTube channel to see this show and everything else that we do here at the Patriots. Thanks a lot.